Test, test. Can you guys hear me? Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Guys, today I'm doing something that I have not done in nearly 3 years, chat. In nearly 3 years. For the first time in a very, very, very long time. Don't say eat something healthy. I am going to be commentating PUBG Mobile. Caster Jack is back for the 2022 Live It Community Cup. You will not want to miss this. I'm so excited to be casting. When this opportunity came up, I could not miss it. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm very much looking forward to it. Oh, let me do my intro. You're going to hear the co-casters, but I'm going to be casting today, chat. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 2022 PUBG Mobile Community Cup. The dynasty has been cemented.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the final day of the PUBG Mobile 2022 Live It Community Cup. I'm your host, Han Choops. I hope you are stoked because we have a jam-packed day of nothing but action, and we got some special guests as well. We'll get to that here in just a bit. But before we do, let's go ahead and run a little quick recap of exactly how this tournament has played out so far. And as you can see here, day one was the open qualifiers. We had over 1,000 people battle out, and it was the top 208 of that massive group that earned the privilege to compete in day number 2.
Y'all ready for this?
This is another day of solos matches where those 208 competitors were split up into 4 groups of 52 here
Y'all ready
in
for
Livic.
this?
And remember, that first day, it was all about
Dude, I'm so excited, man. I'm so excited.
Crazy. 1 elim per 5 points. It went nuts. And out of all those squads, it got cut down.
Yo, who used to watch me
once again?
commentate Call of Duty, commentate Fortnite? Who watched during that?
Was Friday, and it was a duos match. And duos, a lot different than the solos that we saw there before. And those squads, those players, they had to have been
so excited for this today. It's a $50,000 tournament to be casting.
It's the finals, and all those duos had some time to practice over the weekend, and they have been joined up with some of your favorite creators here today, and they are going to try to go at.
Where's my casting jacket? I didn't want to sweat.
$50,000 prize.
I didn't want to.
Right.
I didn't want
will
to. I didn't want to
Live
sweat,
It Community Cup champion. First place is going to get 20 grand. Second's going to get 10.
Yo, give me that money, baby. I want
all
that
the way
shit.
down the line. And remember, the creators,
give me
got their
my
own
money,
right? This is going all to the community right here. So those
give me
duos
my
are
money.
going to split that between each other. That is how you do it right there. So I hope you guys have just been
look at his shirt.
Following
He wore that
all the
shirt
main
for me.
socials, because you're going to need to, because we got a lot of stuff, a lot of action happening here today. And of course, I couldn't do it without my amazing casters here today. So why don't we go ahead and bring them on in, dude? The beast. We got Courage. We got Goj. We got Katie. How are y'all feeling today? Courage, right? It's your first day here. Why don't I start with you, Papa? How you feeling?
Oh, man, I'm feeling great. It's such an honor to be joined here by the one and only Katie Bedford and Goji Berry himself. Seriously, it is just such an honor. And you know, seriously, for the first time in almost 3 years, I'm commentating. I had such a blast playing the PUBG Mobile event about a month and a half ago. The PUBG ambassadors and creators were so kind to me. You know, the casting team didn't roast my gameplay too hard. So when this opportunity came up, it was a no-brainer. I stream on YouTube, and YouTube has a massive PUBG Mobile audience. One that's honestly probably mind-blowing to many people in North America who don't really watch content from around the world. So for me, it was a no-brainer to be involved. I'm so excited to cast, and honestly, I just can't wait for it to get started.
Let's go. First of all, Courage, again, thank you for dressing up today, Papa, and loaning me your shirt. I appreciate it, man.
Well, I mean,
that's how you do it, dude.
I'm suing you.
Do it. Yo, Goj, how are you feeling today, bro?
I was feeling fantastic until that introduction from Courage. I am just going to leave now. We're going to just pack it up. I'm going to let Katie and Courage take it. No, it has been an incredible event all the way through. Solos was a lot of fun to see the different play styles, all of these community members coming together and competing for a chance at $50,000. But there's no chances anymore. anymore, right? You have a piece of 50,000 in front of you. The question is, how much will you take home? 13th taking $500. First place taking $20,000. And that money, by the way, is only split between the community members, not our content creators that are going to be joining them, which is insane. So yeah, no, really, really excited to be here with Courage and Katie. And of course, Jukes, you as well.
That's right. Katie, finals day. We finally made it. How you feeling?
Wonderful. I'm so excited. The evolution, the gameplay changes we've seen from the solos to the duos to now we're in quads. How these teams, which one of these duos who are already paired together, maybe had never played before, now with these content creators, who's going to come out on top? I think the action is going to be top tier. And right, as Goj said it, of course, it's going to be $10,000 each to the community duo that comes out on top. That's life-changing money, and it's all from PUBG Mobile, which is really, really cool.
And we had some B squads here today, so I'm so stoked to get into that. But of course, why don't we go ahead and take a look at how day 3 went to catch up everybody here that's watching.
Well, in one game and set yourself up for success.
Sheesh, Chad! I'm back, baby! I know how to do this shit! I know how to do this! I know! I know how to do this! I remember how to cast! Let me test. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 2022 PUBG Mobile Community Cup. Here, celebrating the re-release of Limit. $50,000 on the line here today. Come on, bro! Like, I can't do this, man! Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for the 2 years, Pillsbury, Austin, Courageous VIP. Welcome back, Sappy for Courage, Broadcasting GG. Thank you. Jason, thank you. Dude, I don't remember that old cast. I said it. The curse has been broken. The dynasty has been cemented. They are the greatest roster in Call of Duty history. Optic Gaming are officially your Call of Duty World League champions. Yo, Dustin, thank you for the 5 gifted, baby.
You gotta be careful. Sometimes there's spooky ghosts in the mist.
Nunez providing the overwatch, but can only do so for
I'll have to fry this, bro.
Thirst has run away. Bob still up 0 eliminations.
This is Cap. You're still streaming, right? Hey, look. If my casting career comes back, sheesh, you never know. You never know. The delay, guys, for what it's worth, the delay won't be bad once we get into the game. When there's gameplay, you'll be completely fine. When we're in the game, we'll be completely fine. The reason it's a slight delay is because we're watching our own camera feeds. YouTube chat is so wholesome. Let's get a heart spam in the chat, please. I got COD champs to watch. Sheesh, be like, sheesh. I want to cast this year with Maven and Merc. I want to try cast. Again, guys, shout out PUBG Mobile for sponsoring this stream. It's my honor to be here for the 2022 Live It Community Cup. 50 grand on the line today. Each team today has PUBG Mobile players, whether they're pro players or streamers. And then 2 players on each team are people who qualified through the other 3 days of the tournament.
Will take them down 2 eliminations to their name as one of the final 14. They do have terrain on their side in terms of the fact that they're a little lower down. And well, even better if the other 2 teams start fighting against each other. Boss, though, in the storm, just trying to wait it out, saying you guys can take each other on. I will third party.
Welcome back. Woo! Day number 3 was action-packed, but we're here back in the finals. Courage, what'd you feel about that right there, huh? Some of that gameplay, that duo action?
I mean, look, the big thing that I'm going to be looking at for this today is squads in Battle Royale games play entirely differently compared to duos. Katie brought up a great point. There could be someone hiding in the mist in some of these games. Squads is a bit different. It's about using your positioning to show pressure, force other players away from pushing towards the area you're trying to hold on. And also, with so many points on the line per game today, if you get a high score, if you have one player on your team who can rat on up and get you from an 8th place all the way up to a top 3, that's an 8-point difference, which could be the difference in a lot of money as this tournament moves forward.
That's right. The biggest of facts. And man, speaking of squads, we got a whole bunch of great ones here. So why don't we bring it up and take a look at all the squads that are going to be playing here today. And you can see it right here. Look at this. By the way, the names, right, were picked by the duo players. The community picked these names. And Goj, what do you think about them?
There are some amazing squads. You know, when you look back at our leaderboard from the duos, you look at the people near the top of that leaderboard, which is of course Payback and Bessie Boss. You had Chaotic and Dream. You had Affy and Gosen. But then you have to compare notes with, okay, who are these content creators? Like, are they talented? Are they extremely cracked out of their minds? Or are they maybe a bit more on the content side, right? Like, we'll be talking a lot about that today, but there's plenty of dynamic quads to take a look at all the way through these 6 games.
Katie, what are you thinking? Who stands out to you?
If you're talking about pure elimination capacity and high slaying potential, grass stains look no further. As Coach said it right, Bessie Boss and Payback were so incredibly dominant when we saw them paired up in duos. But also along the bottom line, the little homies Ruby and Nexus also played extremely well, as did J-Star's team of J-Star and Verified. So yeah, you couple them with those content creators, and that is always going to be the interesting part of the equation, right, Jukes? Of what content creators are more slaying or more content?
I'll tell you what, one that's going to be both. It's Team Endgame. You know, you see Rolex, Powerbang,
yes.
Affy, you know? That is a thick squad right there. That's what I like to see. By the way, these are going to be the scoring points here. So it's 2 points per elimination. First place going to give you 15 points. That chicken dinner. Second going down the line. And then all the way down 14th to 26, 0 Courage.
And look, that's where you got to kind of reset. You have 6 games to play today for one, to keep that in mind. But hey, you mentioned it, Jukes. I'm all Team Endgame today. Look, Powerbang came on in here. He tried to sweet talk me. He knows I'm commentating. He's like, "Hey, Courage, good to see you." And I'm like, "No, all right. If you're garbage today, I'm gonna roast you. Simple as that." But Rolex was one of the great leaders I had in our tournament. You look at the duo that they had coming on in. They placed second yesterday, so I'm confident between the duo, who obviously performed very well to make it this far. Then with Rolex and Powerbang's experience, I'm Team Endgame all day today, baby.
I like to hear that. So, I mean, hey, you got to play with Rolex before, but you know what? You're going to see how he plays right now. Guys, take it away.
Woo! It's time. We're going to be jumping into the first map of the day, joined by Courage and Katie and all of these incredible teams. Look, I got to say, Courage, Rolex was your guy, and he's back again. Team number 3 in game, that team title that they've been given. That was one of the teams I was taking a look at and saying, hey, there's a good chance they've got a good shot at winning this. So we'll be seeing exactly where they drop as we take a look at the map. You see everybody spreading out as per usual. And then that blue team right there in the center, that mid-steam drop was the hottest drop all day Friday and all day Thursday.
Hey, Coach, can I try something here real quick?
Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come. Game number 1 of our grand finals here of PUBG Mobile's 2022 Live It Community Cup. And already we're on board with Team Endgame as they're getting some positioning. They definitely have a power advantage, especially with that mid building for Rolex right here. But will they go for a skirmish early on? For you guys who've commented the other days, what was the experience? Were people trying to fight right off spawn? Were they playing a ton of loot? It looks like they're kind of getting right into it.
Yeah, I mean, the answer, a definite yes. The teams that were on the highest elimination side, the teams that tended to be dominating the lobbies, did get those early drop, high aggression pushes, get a few eliminations, get that loot, and then spend that middle portion of the map focusing on those end game rotations. So I'm not surprised to see them here a little aggressive. We'll see if it pays off. But yeah, the answer, a certain yes. If you want to be on top, you got to start out with some early elims.
It's a great point too, Courage, what you talked about before about quads, because these fights will come in a bit slower than before. With duos or solos, you can oftentimes just play trades and make the push full aggression, but with 4 players staring you through different angles, some have high ground, some have maybe in a roundabout way to get the revives. I mean, you got to remember, we have the recall towers here in the new Livic, and so if you do lose 1, 2, maybe even 3 of your teammates, you can get them all back if you just get to that recall tower. So it might be, hey, who's going to play that safe position, plays the Overwatch position, and should things go completely horrible, they back out and go for the revive.
And this is exactly what I had brought up. This team, Prod and crew, know that they did not have the power position in that fight. They make the wise decision to back on up. And for people to remember at home who might be tuning on in just for today, as we watch Metalcore get a quick little kill right here, this is not an entirely packed map. So as the players are dropping on in, they're able to look around, see who's around them, make note of what areas might be open if someone's nearby, and then play off that. As it looks like for a second here, might be having a little bit of lag on my end. I don't know if you guys, are you seeing that too?
Yeah, we'll be jumping right back into it
we're
as soon as we can. I want to take a moment here while we're watching Metacore's team to talk about that squad as well. There were another that I highlighted. Katie, you mentioned them as well. Ruby and Nexus had a fantastic showing on Friday, which was our day 3 duos. And Metacore is a content creator for Ghost Gaming, also competed Courage against you, I believe, in the 4th anniversary event that you played in. Very talented player. Might have even taken you down once or twice. I'm sure, looking back, thinking back, it's a little hazy, but I think you returned the favor once or twice, maybe.
Yeah, maybe my teammates did it. It wasn't saying much to take me down. Look, that tournament was basically like, it was like I was a 3rd grader in the middle of the WWE Royal Rumble ring, and I got called in, and I just got my ass beat by Brock Lesnar.
Just go for their kneecaps. They won't expect it.
I think I had to worry about just looting myself first, and I also found out that I was playing on an iPad mini, and other people were playing on like the pros, and so I was getting smoked for that too. I'll be honest. So, no, it seriously, some of these guys are absolutely cracked, and you brought up a great point. I played in many tournaments in my day where, look, I might have some really good teammates around me, but depending on who these duos are, if it's a pro and another near high tier, close to pro player level content creator, that could go a long way for these teams in securing a lot more confidence in their skirmishy fights, which goes a long way in these tournaments.
It's also all about that communication too, right? Which teams are going to have that synergy? Which teams are going to be kind of a step above the rest and know the rules that they're going to play,
I'm
right?
casting for the first time in
when you look
3
at this,
years,
we did
bro, I'm
see
nervous.
so many shotguns used in the solos day. Not as many used in duos, but still a couple eliminations that came through for those in close quarters. Do you think we're going to see some of these frontline players with those shotguns in hand now that they have the buff? Or do you think based on what we saw in duos, probably not going to be as popular?
You will absolutely have at least 1 to 2 players kind of playing that frontline aggression role using that M10. It recently got buffed in the most recent patch notes, and it was dynamic. Even from maybe a bit too far of distance, it was one tapping if you took a headshot, especially if your opponents didn't kind of upgrade those resources by looting around. And that's something to always think about is, hey, how do we manage our resources well to take these encounters and take these fights well?
And I like what we're seeing here from Synthetic and Crew. Again, I'm going to need to try to find their team names because these duos named their team. So I'm going to be looking back and forth here as I try to find them. But a lot of this is about showing presence in certain areas. People don't want to die early in these games. So if you show a bit more aggression, get some early shots on them, especially with the height advantage, most teams will prefer to back on off and try to play placement. As right now, it does look like Max and Crew have a bit of positioning over Metalcore. Like Metalcore is knocked, so teammates trying to protect, but with only Ruby left by themselves, this looks pretty darn grim if you ask me.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be in their position, that's for sure, especially when you have so much pressure being put on you from a team that also has the high ground. You can see Metalcore, they've spotted them out. Now what looks like the final push coming through. Ruby, are you able to do anything? Gets maybe a few bullets, but with an entire team collapsing on you, there's just not much you can do to get out of that alive.
It's actually a huge pickup, too. I mean, we were talking about Metalcore's team. That's Lil Homies is the team name that just got eliminated and I believe fully taken out of this lobby. The team that took them out, this is on our screen right now. This is Tempo Sonics, and this is actually a squad that were able to make it in kind of via technicality. Some things happened behind the scenes, and we had to bring a new team from kind of not the bottom of the leaderboard, but comparatively, they got 8th in their group stages, which was kind of just outside of the money, if you'll call it that. I mean, all 50,000 is today, but you will make anything, even if you get last. So the chance to even play today was a huge boon. And if they can continue to execute at a fairly high level, those early kills can certainly add up to your overall total. And then the question is, hey, how do we find our way to the end game?
And one thing I do want to point out here, for anyone that's just tuning on in, each elimination today is worth 2 points. So you get a 4-on-4 fight, that might be an 8-point swing, but there's still placement points to be had as well. If you get first place, it's 15 points, which is the equivalent of 2 full squad wipes. But 0 points for 14 through 26. You only start getting placement points if you make it into the top 13 of squads. So definitely keep watch of that today. Players going to be playing those point thresholds. And also, The drop spots will change throughout the day as well. I'm sure you guys have seen throughout the first 3 days that if an area is contested, if a squad goes to one area in game number 1, wipes your team, and you go, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't want to go up against, Power Bang and Rolex and contest that spot. Let's go ahead and back away, find a new landing spot. Maybe it'll give us more luck in game 2. There's a lot to look forward to throughout these games, and we'll keep track of the storylines of some of the landing spots as we continue to let the action develop as we move towards the end game.
And I love that you pointed out the placements. It's so very crucial because this tournament, right? The Community Cup has had multiple phases, and when you take a look at the solos portion of it, it was all about eliminations, and placement was kind of a, hey, if you win, that's great, you'll get a couple points, but it's all about getting that high slaying potential. Not the case now. Those placement points are gonna make or break the teams that get into kind of that top 3, and especially there's no world, Goj, I think, in which the team that takes first place today isn't also consistently getting very, very high placements.
That's a great point. As we take a look at the map, you can see Midstein continues to be one of those drop spots that is a great position to hold over. Like Courage said, if you can take over a POI, show face there, show presence there to run some teams out of dodge, right? You could then hold that POI if it's inside of the circle for fairly long amount of time. What we saw on Friday was that Midstein was that drop spot because it was almost always inside of the late game circles.
And Goj, one thing I wanted to point out, we can actually pull back up the map. That would be super, super clutch production. I'm going to test you guys here. If we can pull that back up to take a look at. So when we talk about the dead side of the zone, remember how important placement is? Right now at the top of your screen, you see how team emotional damage is basically all by themselves. They've done a great job of either landing on the dead side or rotating there early, because look at how packed the south side of the map will be. They naturally have an easier rotation. So throughout these games, as we get these big movements from a lot of these teams, I want to make sure we point out the map and see who's maybe in a more favorable position to live throughout this game. And I've got to give it to emotional damage right now. They're in a great spot moving forward. Not going to be a lot of pressure on them. They can keep on looting up and playing their health. And nice job, production, pulling this up for me. Let's get back into the gameplay.
Well, and no surprise that it's that team specifically that you mentioned, emotional damage, because that's just a dead hope. And we saw them doing something very similar to that in the duos portion, where even if it was just one of them, they were playing those final circles so perfectly that they were always getting those really high placement multipliers. So CNM, as you said, in that dead zone, I am not surprised. But now Trash, he's going to have to spend a moment, get his teammate back up, getting a little bit better. Looks like they won't have to worry about a push from Puff's team on the other side, but this is always a big moment. You get those opening downs, it leaves your team open to that full push from the remaining quad, and it looks like at least a bit of a reprieve now for a moment as they can get set back up and look to reassess this fight, which will be a little tricky, Coach, because there is a lot of open space between this barn and the house next door.
Yeah, J-Star was a team that also was kind of near the bottom of the leaderboard, but they had essentially just one great showing. And as a reminder, on Friday and Thursday, they only had 3 maps to play. And so all of the points calculated, the placement, placement points, as well as the eliminations and everything was over the course of 3 maps. We have 6 maps. So the storylines Courage was talking about are even more important, and you have more of a time to adjust your playstyle. And I remember back in J-Star Fan's team, they really only had one fantastic map that actually propelled them into qualifying, and they had 2 fairly low scoring maps, but they made it through. You don't really have that luxury today. You can't just pop off one map. You got 6 total maps that will be added up together.
No, it's all about consistency. And look, I will say a lot of times in 6-game format tournaments, you can get away with having one rough game and still kind of compete for the most, but 2 bad games, and you've got to start thinking, all right, we not only need to place well, but find ourselves a lot of eliminations if we want to try to compete for first in this. And now you begin to see the zone come into play. Players with their backs up against the play area. You see 1 minute until it begins to push on forward. And this squad inside, Team Tempo, they right now are being held, and this is not going to be a fun time to push. Thankfully, do have a vehicle. Question that comes in for me is how much damage can get done by Merms and crew? Can they at least get 1 knock to give them the numbers advantage here?
I mean, it's going to be really tricky. I agree. It looks like they're just trying to take that vehicle, get away from this engagement. J-Star's team just using those shoulder peaks to check where they are. And well, they said goodbye. I don't don't even want to go near this. I don't want to worry about it. You're still at the point where that blue zone is not going to do a massive amount of damage to you. So they're able to get that rotation and get away. And I like that play, right? That's just not a fight that you're going to win. If you try to, you're probably going to risk being that second team to get full wiped. But now we swing over to Merms, team 13. And what was their team name? I'm taking a look. J-Star's team. All right, yeah. Just J-Star says J-Star is my name. That's what we're going with.
One of the things that we were joking about, Courage, in the last couple broadcasts as well, was that the blue zone, it actually probably would have qualified in the first 2 days and made it to the finals. There were so many eliminations that came through from the blue zone, because right now, circles 2, circles 3, into the beginning of circle 4, it's not that bad. But once you get to circle 4 into circle 5 and 6, it starts chunking away at your health at a maximum rate. I'm sure you experienced that some in the last of it as well, but it is deadly to most, especially if you don't have a vehicle.
Yeah, I was trying to swim in the water, and I thought I assumed that my character would swim as fast as they call me the Michael Phelps of today's day and age. For me in real life, but my character in the game at least wasn't. So I unfortunately was not able to make it out alive. But yeah, no, that zone does hurt, and that's what I'm talking about. You know, in that fight, yeah, there was 2 teams that were on the edge of zone, but realistically, the zone being there is basically a third player. As we mentioned it, Ahmad did just go down to that ticking storm, and it's beginning to show just how powerful it is as time goes on. As a quick res should come on through here for Team Tempo. They do have 2 knocked at the moment, and a rough spot they find themselves in, as again, 30 seconds until the play area begins to close.
Yeah, this is not going to be fun, and it's going to be those teams. You have to assume those ones that initially landed in places like Midstein, probably in a much better position toward the endings of map 1. But Coach, I loved what you mentioned, right? We're going to get those extended storylines. It's not just 3 maps for your group and you're done, you qualify or you don't. No, we're going the distance with those 6. And exactly like Courage said too, one bad map, it's fine. It's going to happen. But in any battle royale, it's going to be that consistency. If you can get a first place, that's great. But if you can get within that top 3 placement wise, get yourself at least maybe a squad wipe and a half in terms of eliminations, you will be sitting pretty.
While you were talking, Katie, I think the blue zone eliminated somewhere around 4 to 5 names. Could be. Oh yeah.
And how about 6 and 7 and 8 and 9?
It doesn't mess around.
That is Livik though, right? It's a faster map. It's a smaller map, and the blue zone moves quickly to encourage engagements. There's a lot of open space between buildings. You can see it right here with this main street coming through this kind of unnamed POI that you have to be careful about. And there goes another elimination from the blue zone. And you would think they've learned by now, right? They've made it through 3 different days of competition. They started with 1,500 names that tried to qualify, and we're down to the final 26 that are paired up with our 26 content creators. So hopefully they'll learn by map 2.
And Coach, I love what you mentioned right there. The zone moves quickly to try to force engagements. That means even more, if I'm in this game and I'm shot calling for these teams, I'm prioritizing landing on 1 or 2 vehicles, making sure my team gets looted quickly, and then we immediately get ahead of the zone so we can be the ones to punish those who rotate a little bit more slowly, or maybe don't have a vehicle and they're traveling by foot. We're down to just 9 squads remaining. And again, as these squads do dwindle, more and more placement points on the line. The next point threshold is top 7. It jumps from 1 placement point to 2, but then 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and then 1st are all 2-point jumps up until 2nd to 1st is 3. So again, in this end game, even having 1 person alive on your team who can rat it on up could make a world of difference on the leaderboards.
Absolutely. Those placement points, find a bush, find a nook or a cranny to squirrel yourself away in and hope that everyone else takes everyone else out before they notice you. We just saw Jess with an elimination there, but so many, another down from Jess's team. There'll be Powerbang in the feed. Dream with an elimination, and Powerbang will send Dream into the revive. You'll be waiting for map 2. A nice elimination there, but just like that, 6 teams, and it is always in kind of this 5th, 6th zone where everything gets crazy and you see teams starting to drop like flies, as we see a nice down dead Hope. Well, that Hope might very well be dead.
Yeah, the name fits for a reason. As another thing to point out, with 18 teams, 18 players remaining, only 5 squads, teams will know that there's certain teams of 4 that just don't have everyone alive, and they'll use that to play a bit more aggressively. They're going to keep track of how many players are remaining, how many squads are remaining, to make sure that they know exactly where they stand. Still a vehicle in play, as they're going to get a quick little rotation, but not many buildings left, as it looks like an all-out assault on this outside building. We're watching Power Bang at endgame, and here's a bunch of trading back and forth. Buys down to just a little bit of HP, but there's no way they're going to be able to make that one happen. The quick trade, does it come on through? Yes, it does, and maybe a res will come in time. Maybe one last chance to get a teammate up. It does appear so, as across the road, they're just now beginning to get aggressive. They realize they've got to make a move. They should be moving already. They should be going. Instead, they're letting the reses happen. And it's because Rolex and Power Bang are up on the hill with a great crossfire. I don't see how Team Endgame can lose this.
I couldn't agree more. Affy, Rolex, Powerbang, we highlighted them at the very beginning as a team that can win it all, and they're starting off strong. They've got the best position in the zone. They've got some cover to work with. The other two teams are fighting. I mean, talk about a perfect position. You just lay in wait, let them weed each other out, and then you could have a player advantage going into the final fight. Maybe chuck a few grenades. We've seen how deadly they could be from distance if you place them correctly. I mean, Affy was doing a fantastic job of that last time, and he's doing it again. Nade after nade, smoke after smoke. The team's trying to cover their advances, and Powerbang saying, let me get on the action. I want an elimination or two. And well, Dead Hope swings back and is grabbing a few from the other fight. This is getting a bit more spicy, Courage.
I'm telling you, this is not over. Remember, earlier in this game, I pointed out team emotional damage. They were in the by far best position on the side of Dead Zone. Powerbang tries to move forward and gets absolutely cut down. And just like that, we are in a 3 versus 1. Rolex is last alive, has a little bit of smoke for cover, but oh man, that is a tough spot to be in. One tree is all that remains. You see the nades being cocked by Dead Hope. Oh, I don't see how Rolex can win this one. They should swing out through. There it is. Wow. Team emotional damage, who, hey, I called earlier in the game. They were on the dead side, and it pays off in the end. They'll take game number 1 from Team Endgame.
What a phenomenal ending. A decent amount of eliminations for them as well.
Yeah.
Night Scythe with 3 elims. A great job from them across the board. Exactly. You called it out so far in advance. Having that positioning paid off. And now you have to assume Powerbang's team, initially at that final circle, they looked so strong. The other two teams were forced to funnel into each other. You assume, hey, we'll sit back and third party and get some elims, easy win. But that's not really how that circle worked out. And so I think Pickle Chew, Jess, and everyone else may be handing out some emotional damage here early on.
I'm really excited to see what happens next. I believe they scored somewhere around 27 points, if I did my math correctly. 6 eliminations would be times 2. That'd be 12, plus that 15 placement points. So 27 points is the score to beat. That's set the pace for the rest of the lobbies. Let's bring in Hot Jukes and see exactly what he's got to say. Jukes, what'd you think? Map 1 of the finals has done and dusted, and Jess's team up on top.
I can't hear him. Hot Jukes, you're muted. So on
Discord,
on Discord, there's an unmute button, and you can unmute. There you go.
And I am ready to go, baby. Yo, look, first off, I mean, that match was just too hot. You know, I had to charge up my batteries there. And I'll tell you, Jess coming in there was nice and beautiful. And I liked your call out earlier, Courage, you know, going to that hard shift side.
Yep.
Yo, I thought that they were going to have it, you know, and I talked to Rolex before this all started, and he told me, he's like, yo, after carrying Courage, I should be able to do anything, you know? And unfortunately, it wasn't enough, Courage. It wasn't enough.
He tried his best, and here's what I'll say. Powerbang, I think, got a little bit too aggressive on that final play. I like the idea, right? They had the positioning where they saw 2 teams fighting. They were the third party, but Dead Hope's team really wasn't that weak. They still had 3 players alive, which was an even 3 versus 3. Powerbang went for the hero angle. It didn't quite work out. And to be honest, again, Dead Hope's team, emotional damage. They had the buildings. They had the cover. Once Rolex was behind the tree, you saw Dead Hope just cook a nade, forced them out of position. It was textbook gameplay. And again, we'll see the scoreboard. I thought they had 7 eliminations, which would put them at 29 points. But either way, 27-29, that is a massive game number 1. And they also know the north side of the map was the dead side of the map. What teams will adjust? So much to look at as game number 2 gets ready.
Beautifully done. Beautifully done. We got some good points up on the board here. We still got plenty of matches here left to go. So obviously, any team could really still come back. Katie, who really stood out to you on that one, huh? Who do you think's going to pop off in the next few matches?
Well, I mean, you have to take a look again. So emotional damage, we saw Jess's team when it came to duos doing something similar in that they were consistently able to get themselves very good placement multipliers, even if those eliminations weren't as high as we were seeing from other teams. So I'm not surprised to see them start out this final as hot as they did. Now you can kind of just sort of go on a relative cruise control through the remaining 5 maps. You already have that so coveted win. You have a nice amount of points on top of it. But I have to assume Bessie Boss's team is gonna start showing up here in this end game sooner rather than later.
The big shotgun plays, we're gonna see them happen throughout this entire day. That M10, just the new meta inside of Livik. Now, also inside of this new Livik map, we have the zip lines, right, Coach? You just got to see it happen one time. Do you think we're gonna see a zip line play today?
I mean, mobility is everything. We saw how many times the blue zone did take an elimination. So if there's an opportunity to use a zip line to get out of dodge quickly, you fly down those things. And so certainly use anything you can to get around the map quicker. Vehicles may be a bit more of a primary source of being able to do that, but the zip lines are a fantastic option, especially if you're on the outer edges of the map. But Jukes, I believe our scores are ready. Let's hop straight into them and see where everybody lined up. I think Courage's math might have been a bit better than mine. Oh, wait. It looks like in-game had way more eliminations than we gave them credit for. My goodness, they are on top at the end of the day after map 1, 30 total points.
Yeah,
this is why I don't do math. I leave it to all of you, by the way. This is why. We wait to see.
Gracious. Yo, Courage, bro. You, the first day here, 30 points, game number 1. Do you see this coming?
I mean, look, I when I looked at the teams coming into this, just knowing how good of a coach Rolex was the other day, and then knowing the experience they had, and then seeing that team finish second in duos, it's kind of a match made in heaven from top to bottom. So, look, it's not the biggest deal that they didn't get first place in that game because of how well they slayed. But, hey, I wouldn't mind a close battle of 1 point difference through the rest of this tournament. And I think we could get it between emotional damage and endgame.
I could see it coming. I could see it coming. And, hey, PB didn't mess around either. He put up 2 kills on himself. And I tell you what, I haven't seen him play an event like this in a hot minute. And for him to put up some big points against all these squads, you'll love to see it right there from the legend himself. Now, here we got coming up here, match number 2. First place, right? It's going to happen. So I want predictions from everybody, okay? I want predictions. Go start with you, right?
I'm really glad... I'm really glad you asked me, because somebody that I was surprised to not see at the very top of this leaderboard, at least near the top of the leaderboard, was Team Skylight, team number 5. That's Flame, Solojui, and then Athena and Elenise. If we remember back to the other event, and if you just even know who Athena is, I mean, he is the pinnacle of competitive, sweaty player. I mean, he's got the hand cam. He is unbelievable at this game, and I know he's got a lot of fans out that are waiting and watching to see him pop off. I did see his name in the death feed at least at one point. I have a feeling they're going to start eking their way up to the top of this leaderboard, either by eliminations or having somebody play a bit slower to grab those all too valuable placement points.
Yo, Athena is an absolute legend in here. Well, I got one more prediction because I know the game's about to get started. So Katie, give it to me quick.
I gotta go with endgame. It might be a cop-out, but they're gonna get a win at some point, and I imagine it's gonna be sooner rather than later. They have been so explosive already, and taking first place when you didn't even get first place in map 1. You know what? I take the safe bets, and I'm going with endgame.
All right. Well, by the way, one of our creators, Merms, her birthday's around the corner, right? So happy birthday to Merms. Courage, I want to know about, how that birthday is going to play here in today's matches as we get the next match about to get going. Let's get it started.
My goodness, a birthday buff.
It's a real thing.
The birthday buff's a real thing. I'm going to tell you that right now. On my birthday this past year, I turned 28 last month.
Woo!
And for that one day on my birthday, when I went up my flight of stairs upstairs, I wasn't out of breath. So that was the only day of the year. Outside of that, it was a little bit rough. But as we hop into game number 2, I'm looking to see if there's a bit more even of a drop spot choice from all of these teams. In game number 1, it was extremely south heavy, and whoa, already I'm noticing way fewer teams on the south side of the map.
Yeah, significant reduction there. And Endgame, the current total leader, going straight toward, looks like at least a little northwest of this Midstein area. It'll be curious to know if they loot up there and then rotate over to the teams that did drop in Midstein and try and challenge them. But now we take a look. Well, the team that won it all in map 1 of 6, right there, emotional damage and moving as a unit, getting these houses, looting up. And I don't mind any sometimes more quiet plays at the beginning of these maps. Yes, you don't necessarily get the reward of getting those eliminations early on, but it does allow you, when you do eventually get to those engagements, Goj, to have all of the utility, whether it's the helmets, backpacks, the guns that you want, the tacticals, to then have a better chance of coming out on top. But no surprise, once again, same as we saw in the first map, a show-off between these two teams in the same spot.
But one big difference is Team Tempo wound up getting control of this main building to force Powerbang and crew to play outside. Last time that was not the case. So I think that we might see Powerbang try to play their range, look for a possible snipe pick, if anything. But, you know, Powerbang, you see, does have that sniper in hand. Maybe a headshot could be the thing that helps them push forward. Rolex getting aggressive as well with that SMG as nades are traded. They're looking for a skirmish here. But again, building control, going over to Team Tempo, I would give them the advantage in this fight at the current moment.
It really is seemingly the opposite fight from last time. And we did see that Team 12 on your screen right now backed out of this fight last time. And with the building control, we could see potentially in-game back out and say, well, let's reassess this fight either from a different angle or just completely leave it all together. I mean, one thing to note, by the way, is that, well, this is the new logistics center. And logistics center has replaced a lumber yard from the Livic beta. And I really like the way this POI is laid out. It's almost like its own multiplayer map stuck inside.
Yo, let me get a hello for everyone in the chat right now. I want to see you guys.
All the different areas of cover, the different boxes that you see, and of course the large structures. So just keep an eye on where these players decide to go to denote what their roles and what their jobs are. Could be that Powerbang's playing that Overwatch position still off into the distance, making sure they don't early get wiped out of this lobby and drop a potential 1 or a goose egg game.
I don't know what's happening off screen if you guys have been watching that elimination feed, but Jess's team might be in a bit of trouble. I think Jess might have been fully eliminated for the time being. So who knows? I think at risk, at least, our first map winners might be going out early.
Yeah, and what we're seeing right now is because of what TBE Max did earlier, they rotated from that middle building. They actually lost vision of where he was, so they're having to play a little bit more respectful, wondering if Max potentially got a different angle to push on forward. You see how far back Powerbang is playing with the sniper. They also had one of their duo teammates, I believe his name is Gosu or Gosun, on the back left side, watching where Max went to. But finally, after that long standoff with the zone popping on up, it looks like Rolex and crew have decided to just back on up off this position. They're not going to force this, and I like that a lot. They played a lot around seeing if Powerbang could get a pick. They did some damage, but it wasn't enough for either team to give the green light to go for a fight. Hey, respect from both squads towards each other, not trying to throw this game away too early.
I'm excited to see what Dab and Kim are able to do. I mean, it looks like they've got a nice little high ground position to overlook Pickle and Dead Hope at night. It is Jess that is fully eliminated, and well, there goes Dead Hope. All of a sudden they had a slight player advantage, and now they have a massive one. This is the signal boost you need, that signal flare to say, hey teammates, let's converge on this, let's wipe this squad out of the lobby, especially when we know who it is. And a grenade through the window doesn't quite execute at least one of those players, but this is the converge I was talking about. Play all the different angles. Pickle's gonna do everything they can. There is just no way they come out of this fight without losing at least one, if not both, and they don't even get one single trade.
And this is now where, if I'm Team Endgame, I'm noticing in the elimination feed that this team has been eliminated. The team that was 1 point behind us, and I'm saying, hey, this is our opportunity now to get a lead. Let's play for some elimination point. Let's play for some placement points. Let's get ahead of this zone. Let's ensure that if we're taking a fight, we are very confident we can win it, because they right now have a massive opportunity to expand their lead from 1 point to many, as we see our map and see, well, who's on the more dead side of the zone. And honestly, it's a pretty healthy spread. The next engagement that I would expect would be on the far north side between Griezmann squad and that pink team. But outside of that, I think a much healthier spread in this game, especially with how our teams dropped. I don't think there's going to be a lot of fighting for the next couple minutes as the zone moves on forward.
Yeah, and I agree. Endgame, they have to be so happy to see at least one of those contending teams eliminated so very early on. But peek around the corner and surprise, you can't assume you're safe under the bridge. And just like that, Thirst comes in already with one elimination, looking for more. And Powerbank's team, you got to be careful. You got to go. That is a risky spot to be in.
Katie, I'm going to tell you right now, there are some major fans of this Rolex squad getting eliminated. And I'll tell you, it's team emotional damage rooting for Vise and crew to chase down Rolex, Appy, and Ghosten, because guess what? They know there's one player eliminated in Powerbang. They know they've got Rolex week as well. But thankfully for the team Rolex, as Rolex does get knocked right there, they weren't able to get fully pressured due to a third party. You see Vise now having to watch the left side. Oh, this is a rough spot to be in if you are Rolex. Our first and second place teams in absolute shambles to start game number 2. Oh, this storyline's getting juicy.
As a reminder, folks, there are 13 squads dropping into the lobby every single time. And yeah, we have 12 squads left. Our first place team is hanging on by a thread, and our second place team has been fully eliminated at this point. And you can see a couple more eliminations coming through in the kill feed. And I will say it's getting spicy, but you can see Affy is doing the smart play. Get out of dodge, swim away down the river bend like Pocahontas. I mean, do whatever you got to do, because you've got to get to those recall towers as fast as possible. And you just let Rolex and your other teammate just try to survive the best they can. And I don't know what's going to happen next, but it's not good.
And for everyone at home trying to keep track, this team, Vise and crew, they're in third place. They're down by 7 points right now, 2 seconds. So with them knowing the scoreboard after game number 1, again, this is all that goes into the mindset of how you have to play this. Hey, guys, one of the teams ahead of us right now, we have a great advantage on. Let's keep the pressure on them, but still not throw our game away for this. But hey, if they can get an early elimination, that might be something that can help them in the long run. As again, this zone continuing to move on forward. If you are just tuning on in, this is the PUBG Mobile 2022 Live It Community Cup. Squads here on the final day. So much action across these 4 days. $50,000 on the line for these squads today.
Beautiful shots from Jacob to get the down on to Ahmad. Look to convert that into another down on Thirst, but actually did end up taking some damage, forced to back off, regroup with the rest of the team. But that's good news, right, for Team Endgame, because, well, now that these two teams are focused on potentially squabbling with one another, well, they can take the time to just back off through the river. They won't have that constant pressure. No one's taking pot shots at them. They can try and regroup and keep their momentum alive. But right now, for Jacob's team, certainly not a bad position for them to be in, but there are multiple full squads around them, as we see Bella Fox's team Dream there as well. And some pot shots. Ahmad, I feel Ahmad's been in the middle of it. Ahmad's not been having a good time.
Yeah, I was going to say Jacob's team, Team 9, that is Void. That was one of the squads that I was trying to highlight beforehand. Didn't get a chance to. Boat Gang is what they call Jacob's community. And no surprise to see him near the water. And now Rhinox, who did well during the duos qualifiers to get to this point, making some great shots with some nades and some Molotovs. We know how valuable the Molotovs can be with zoning players off as well. So keep an eye on that going forward. And Dream's going to try to do a lot of the same with a grenade over the top to try to find Jacob. Jacob is that aggressor role for Team 9, so watch out for him in the kill feed as he does find a mod with that full elimination.
Jacob's been half the kill feed, I think, this game. He was completely farming Rolex earlier, and again, as you mentioned it, the name pops up one more time. So many skirmishes going on right now. But with the way that this zone is moving, you're going to have to see her and crew move on forward through Jacob. Jacob in a fantastic position, and I love the angles they have at the moment. Rhinox playing the alt angle on that rock. Her doing a great job of trying to zone Rhinox from being able to get this full flank. You see Rhinox just using the third person to spot over that hill. Not kind of show off their positioning too much, but her and crew at least doing a good job of holding for the moment. As again, 11 squads remain in this one, 40 players remain.
Yeah, it's that constant split push that Rhinox is looking for, and it's forcing Her's team to consistently be looking in multiple directions at once, but doing a good job of it. No one willing to overcommit right now, especially when you have 11 teams remaining. If you can get that first knock, maybe you do the push, but here you go, the long flank. But I don't know if Rhinox is aware that Dream is also trying to flank on their own, and if they are observant, if they maybe get a little bit more to the left, they might very well see Rhinox behind that rock. They could catch them out and blow this engagement wide open.
Oh, it's a good spot. I think one of the things I was going to mention, Courage, is that in this Livic map, one of the things that we saw the first two qualifiers into today was that Livic really is third-party central, is what Hot Juice declared it as. And if you sit here and have this engagement last 2, 3, 4 minutes and open up your back to a couple other squads, I mean, you're shooting that signal flare up in the sky like, hey, come and get it.
Oh,
There's some free eliminations over here.
Large part of it is knowing, hey, we can get this engagement done quick. If you see a straight up 4v4, it's tough to try to get in that fight because, again, teams in a game like this too, one player has a good scope for range or a nice shot from range. Thankfully the teams have a bit of cover here, so maybe they feel a little bit more confident where if a third party does show up, they can at least play their building or their couple rocks together. But if this was more in an open field, I don't think we'd be seeing this much at all, as this back and forth has now gone on for what? 4 minutes here between these teams. Again, they're trying not to, they're all just looking for a first blood, playing these different angles. And Goj, you did a great job mentioning it. That third party, well, I keep seeing for a moment just over the hill. It looks like that yellow squad is showing on up. I believe that's Team Lil Homies now beginning to push on forward. Or I'm completely wrong and just made that up. Who knows? As it looks like they're going to continue to back on up, get control of this vehicle, and now begin to prioritize his own, which I think is the right play.
And Her, I believe, it looks like finally the confrontation happening.
There it is.
And just like that, Dream flying in, multiple players taken out. Her with another elimination. Dream right there with them. Merms down as well. And
I wasn't wrong. It was Team Lil Homies.
So long. Yeah, you're right. The longer that standoff was happening, the more likely that third party was going to come in. But Her's team, a beautiful job of collecting those eliminations, maybe able to finally move on to a different location. J-Star's team now here on your screen, 4 eliminations, right? Excuse me, 3 for them so far. But this is where we're starting to get into that danger zone when it comes to the blue zone, right? It's almost time for that player to start closing. But once we get to about the 4th or 5th, that play zone is going to start working on its eliminations too.
And you see the zone pushing in on these teams. I would love when there's a little bit of a lull in the action production, if we can go back to the map and see where our teams are positioned, as this will be really telling on who's at a good advantage, who's in a good spot for this game to move on. Right now, team number 5, Skylight, being pushed by the zone, and here it is. Look at how many squads from the north side of the map are outside the zone. I've got to give a shout out to Team Endgame in a great position. Again, already across that river. Again, that river on the south side of the map will be very awkward to cross. Team Coffee, that's, I believe, that's Tempo Sonics, are making the move right now, which is the right idea. But Endgame, oh man, look at that. They play center zone. They've got it. Endgame, who we talked about being in first place heading into this game. The team who was 1 point behind them was eliminated in dead last. Oh, they are licking their lips right now at this scenario, Goj.
I couldn't agree more. Even if they don't make it into the top 3 or even win the game, they at least are finding a few placement points along the way, and they might be at a slight player disadvantage going into it. But as you saw the circle, there was that river that kind of bent around in a U shape, and there was a peninsula that cut down to be almost perfectly the middle of the circle. Hey, guess what? That's where Powerbang's hanging out, right? Like he's going to be chilling there all the way until that final circle. And now the play zone, the blue zone, it's creeping up the leaderboard in its own right. That's 3 eliminations by the blue. Thirst finds another by Bite, and TBE finding Verify. So a number of elims coming through. Again, this is where we saw it last time. There was 10 squads left. We'll see this number dwindle down to 6 in a matter of moments. It's Dream with the drop shot. That was amazing to stay alive, and bullets coming in from every different angle. Courage, that was impressive.
Yeah, that was clean right there from Dreams. And one thing to point out that I don't think we mentioned earlier, Powerbang back in this game. Goj and Katie, you guys had mentioned it. Livic having the ability to bring your teammates back from the dead. It's zombie Powerbang here. They're back to full strength as a major skirmish goes down between 3 different teams here. Puffs with just a sliver of HP trying to win this fight. Will they be able to get the heal off in time? It does look like both players decide to heal up in this 1v1. Will the res come on through? Does Puffs begin to push on forward? It looks like Nade being cooked. The Kobe comes on in, and that is some great opening damage. Puffs now going to begin to push on forward to try to find Arsho around this corner. The swing comes on through. No Vice gets thirsted. The challenge, though. Down goes Puffs as Arsho clutches on up. Another beautiful use of the drop shot. And this is the difference. The final player on this team, that was a 3-point swing because they got into top 7 as well as getting the elimination. Brilliant stuff by Arsho there.
What a clutch that was. And hey, the rest of your team might be down and out, but it does not matter. You get the eliminations, you get those placement points. That is the most important part as we see the play zone taking at least one more person out. And the fact that Endgame's team is back in full strength, the survivability they had when they were in such a difficult position in the river is a testament to their ability to maintain that top spot as we get toward the ending of map 2. And Jake starts it. You're going to try and get some shots in, but please go away. We're a little busy. 5 elims so far. Beautiful shots as all of these teams converging in mayhem as the zone pushes them all into one another in these ruins.
And who are they pushing into? Team Endgame. They are farming on this edge of the zone. It does look like Affy goes down, but with 3 teammates still here, I give the full advantage over to Rolex and crew. Affy is eliminated. Rolex trying to play this angle. Can't get the full on to Prod. Will they swing the corner here in a 3 versus, I believe it's a 1? Tomax, your time is up, my friend. Team Endgame, because they play center zone, Goj, just completely hold the players on the Storm on the end, and they've made themselves into a top 3, but Dream is now getting multiple knocks.
Unbelievable job by Endgame. I said it, they'd make it at least to the top 3, and they're there. The question is, can they find
1v1
the win as well? It's a 1v1 Rolex versus Dream, both seemingly in a pretty decent spot. Rolex is going to go ahead and syringe up, not only to start healing, but also get a slight speed boost in case he wants to jiggle peek around the corner. The big thing to watch out for here is what Rolex can do. He is comfortable in 1v multiple situations. He played pro with Space Station back in 2018, 2019. He led Courage to, well, not a victory, but a pretty decent showing last of it, and we'll see what happens. This Dream is trying to make sure they don't get third party from behind, throws a few smokes for some cover, and I think they might just back out and play for positioning as well. But look, Courage, look at this team on the left. Jacob, the boat gang, all 4 alive. Are you kidding me?
This game, if somehow Jacob loses this game, then I will shave my head at the moment, okay? It is a 4 versus 1. Rolex is in the Storm. Jacob is pretending to be a slime crawling around the ground as a slug, it looks like. As, yeah, Rolex should drop to the zone any minute. Yeah, and look, we talked about Jacob throughout the game. Game number 1 was a rough spot for Team Void. Heading into this one, they were in 11th place with only 1 elim and 6 points. At the end of this one, Goj and Katie, they're going to be right near the top of our leaderboard.
And well, try as you might, you can only heal in the Storm for so long when you're in a 1v4. But congratulations to Team Void. What an incredible map 2 win for them. But also a massive testament to the fact that Endgame was able to recoup and get those placement points. Oh, so very important when you've got $20,000 on the line for first place. But I mean, they went out to that third-party view, Coach, and I saw that it was a 4v1v1. Well, we already know. Congratulations to Jacob's team.
Not good. Not far from them.
It was a big map for them as well, Courage, because that was 31 total points. I think I did my math correctly that time. It was 4 eliminations for 2 separate players. That's 8 eliminations in total. 16 plus 15. That's 31 points. And I got to give it to Rolex, too. Like, he knows what he's doing, right? He didn't give them any free points. That was 2 points that he knew were going to be handed to the other team. I mean, even if he traded 1 player, and that's a huge if, that's essentially a wash between the 2 squads. So it was like, look, I'm just going to die to the play zone. I'm not going to risk it. It's not worth it. They don't need the extra points, and we did a great job to get to second and secure for the second time in a row 12 placement points.
Oh yeah, no, if you go back and watch that, the second that Rolex knows the 1v1 is over and Dream backs on up, Rolex turns, has all those death boxes around him and just starts picking up meds. Picks up every med possible and says, you know what? I'm playing for second. I know Jacob's squad has 4 remaining. This team has already shown they have the awareness to know all those little details. Brilliantly played. They don't need to get the win. Second place is fine. With them making it to second, with how bad of a position they were in earlier, they've just bumped themselves up even more into first place. I can't wait to see these leaderboards after game 2 because it's going to be all team endgame.
No, it's an incredible finish to be sure. But I think, do we need Hot Jukes in here?
Let's get him in.
Listen, back, baby.
Oh, hey.
What was that ending?
Yeah, he's like, oh yeah, that guy. You know, I'll tell you what. I had to go put away my clippers, dude, because Jacob was able to clutch it up there right at the end, nice and beautifully. And Void pulling up a massive chicken dinner there. They were in what, 11th place before this match. So yeah, you said rise. They gonna rise up indeed. And then end game, back to back. Pretty good, second place finishes. You love to see that there as well. But you know what? It's time. Let's pull up the scores. End game. 52 points, man. They're starting to put a little bit of a buffer here, Courage.
Oh, they're not only making a buffer, they're making a damn canyon right now. 15 points in the difference. But one thing I want to remind for everyone at home, in prizing of our $50,000 that are on the line, first place gets $20,000. Second place gets $10,000. So right now, there's only 7 points separating sixth from second. All eyes are going to be on closing that gap and potentially shutting down Team Endgame. It's still very early on. If Team Endgame has a very bad game here, everyone's going to have an opportunity to catch on up. This is still anybody's tournament to take.
Yeah, absolutely. At a certain point, they're going to have to start getting hunted down, too, if people want to knock them out. Because at the end of the day, remember, all of the money is going to the community. That's right. Yep. So the community members, the duo. So, I mean, heck, you get to first place, 20 grand. That's 10K a piece. Yep. Man, imagine, Courage,
hey,
starting your mobile gaming career, just putting 10 grand in your pocket.
That could feed me for almost 3 full days.
A good 2 for me, man. You know what, Goj? Out of that match, right, Void, rocket launched themselves all the way to second place. You got Jacob, you got Brazen Rover, one of the most wholesome members in the PUBGM community, right? What do you feel about that performance?
No, I mean, I highlighted 3 different teams in our notes. Like, I literally put stars next to them, and it was in-game, it was Void, and then the one that hasn't popped off yet is Skylight, right? I'm still waiting on Athena to just come out of the grave and say, look, I'm here, and I'm here to play for some money. I think there's still an opportunity to do so. One of the things I really liked from Jacob's team, Team Void, that map, was not only their ability to position well and find all 4 players alive at the end game, which is so crucial. Like, any advantage you can find along the way to use is amazing for your ability to have some success in the map, of course, but also their ability to third party to know, hey, can we come into this map? Can we come into this fight and maybe steal a couple eliminations away?
Yes, indeed. Also, emotional damage, 7th place. Katie, take it away. Match number 3. Let's go.
The third map, oh so important for the teams that are hoping that they can take Endgame out early. And for Endgame, well, if they can get 3 very strong maps in a row, it is going to be almost impossible to knock them out of that first, second spot for the overall $20,000 that will go to first place. A lot on the line, but as we see this line going through, the majority of these teams looking to spread out through the northern portion of the map so far, at least toward that middle.
Yeah, again, typical drop spots for some, like Power Banging Crew near the south side of the map. But one thing I do want to point out is we're watching the perspective of our Game 2 winners, Team Jacob, or I'm calling it Team Jacob because of how he was shooting, but it's Team Void. There was one specific moment that won them that game, in my opinion. We remember they had that long fight with her and crew right around that hill. Well, the reason why that fight went on for so long was because there was 2 vehicles on the nearby road that both squads wanted to get a free rotate. When that third party showed up, Rhino and crew from Team Jacob and Team Void knew that they were the ones on the back side of the fight where the other 2 teams would have to contest each other first. When those 2 teams started fighting, they left, took the vehicles, and put themselves in the game-winning spot in zone. That shot call is what made that possible. And that's why they won game number 2.
And well, a quick trade here as Arsho did just get the down onto Powerbang, but an immediate trade by Rolex pushes up and over the hill to even the odds. And well, this is a huge one. If you were anyone on the map and you're aware of this, you're saying, please, please, Team Endgame, we really need you to be the first team eliminated here. But so far, a bit of a standoff right now. Ahmad and Thirst, well, the rest of the team not in the best position here as Rolex will get that first full elimination. Lovely there, a down onto Byte Gaming as the standoff continues.
Ooh, this will be an interesting one to watch too, Courage, because it is still an even playing field, right? It's 3 versus 3. So do you push the fight if you're Rolex? Probably not, because your opponents have structures to hang out in for a long amount of time. And so I was gonna say, I mean, whether or not they feel the need to get Powerbang back immediately is not really the question. The question is this a winnable fight? No, let's get out of dodge. Let's go regain. Let's continue to loot up. I mean, you can even look at Rolex right now. He has 0 loot to his name.
Yeah, I think that fight is almost entirely different if Arsho isn't on the roof, but Rolex had to completely respect where Arsho was positioned. Also, he couldn't see his full ridge line, so he could have been flanked. If they said, hey, you know what, we're not even going to go for the res, they're just going to try to take down Rolex. He says, you know what? I can't push forward. I'm on a different pace compared to my teammates. I believe Katie brought it up. The 2 teammates were quite far away. So it was Rolex all by himself. He got 2 knocks. One of them was finished. They knew, hey, at the worst, it's a 3 versus 3. Let's back it up and do what we just did in game number 2. Let's go res Powerbang. Hey, Powerbang, I told you I'd roast you. I'm noticing you be dead a lot. Dead POV is what we've been watching from Powerbang so far. But no, a brilliant play by Rolex. And what I love is that even though they're in first place right now, Goj and Katie, Rolex not getting cocky, playing, respecting his opponents, backing on up, and playing a reset to ensure that their game lasts longer.
I mean, you don't have the win until it's all said and done. And I agree with that statement, right? Yes, you've had 2 incredible games back to back, but there's still 4 maps being our third to be played out before we get to the end of the finals of the 2022 Live It Community Cup. So being patient, assessing the fights, are they worth it to take or are they not, backing off? Even if maybe you don't want to, all very important decisions that have to be made to get you through. And well, Ruby says, sorry, sir, but I'm tired of this fight. I'm going to need you to go ahead and hit the floor. Griezmann. And there's those shotguns we talked about, seeing a few of them coming up in the elimination feed as another player is downed. And well, so far it looks like Dream Gaming a nice start in
Yo, are you guys enjoying the casting, chat? Are you guys enjoying the casting?
Yeah, no, I mean, Dream Gaming, this is team number 2. This is a team that also certainly could have a great day-to-day if they can slow their pace down a little bit and try not to lose a few players early. That's kind of been the thorn in their side, is they've taken some early encounters. And Katie, you and I talked about this in the last couple broadcasts, is you have these different zones of activity in a battle royale. You have the early game, the mid game, and the late game.
Do I sound like a PUBG Mobile casting expert?
Fighting is the early game in the late game, right? The mid game is usually used for your rotations. You find your way throughout the map to find your way to in game, especially with the way our tournament is formatted. And that's what we've seen throughout the past couple days. The question is, are you finding eliminations in the early game or are you losing teammates? As Serotonin with some incredible shots from distance. Very impressed.
Vehicles,
yeah, actually,
major. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that was on to Gosen as well from Endgame. So it might be potentially joining Powerbang depending on what's happening, Courage.
Yeah, they've been... Look, I want to say Endgame's in a rough spot, but Rolex was literally drowning in a river last game as Powerbang was dead. They were being shot at by 2 different teams, and they somehow finished second with 8 eliminations. So I'm not going to count them out until they're completely out of the map as we take our first look at... What? Look at the north side of the zone. There is not a single soul on the north side of the map, as everyone on the south side, when you talk about dead sides and where you can freely rotate, obviously they don't have this knowledge that we have. But again, if you're looking at the pink squad there in the middle, let me pull up my sheet to see who that is. I believe that's Team Amigos. They're in a fantastic position for this game. Dead center zone, no one on their north side. They can just sit there for the next 10 minutes.
Right. And what I was going to say, Courage, too, is like, yes, they don't have the information, but you also see where the zone is currently situated, right? It is more northern facing. So if you're like, hey, what's the best position for us to be in right now? Do we have vehicles around us? Maybe we make that hard rotation, especially if we've lost 1 player in the process, or we found our 1 to 2 elims. As you can see, the pink team, they're coming in a little hot here. One shot man finds that elimination with the M10. We told you it's deadly. It might be a bit harder to use in quads, but they find the elim and will continue to move on their merry way. No full team elims yet, though, Courage. No wipes yet. All 13 teams alive. I'm sure we'll see that change in the next circle or two.
Yeah, and right there, 3 shotguns being used by that squad in the close range fight. The solo stood no chance. Off the distance, you see what looks like Team Jacob a little bit split up, as right now Synthetic and Crew just staying alive, playing together, not getting too far ahead of themselves. No need to risk it yet. So many placement points up for grabs, and you definitely don't want to be the first one out. I can tell you that there's no more sinking feeling than being eliminated early on and then being dead for the rest of the game. As, oh, is that Powerbang knocked again? I think that's the 12th knock we've seen from Powerbang.
I was going to point it out, but I left it to you.
No, you can leave it to me. Powerbang, all love, dude. But I think you're either his pacing's a bit off from his teammates, or they've made a decision to say, hey, you go in first. We'll just shoot around you, as they will be able to get the res. That's Rolex moving on forward. The purple squad has to show respect towards the team here. The full advantage, you've got to think, goes over to endgame as Ghosten now looking for the off angle. Will Eleni spot this in time? Shots coming on through. Ghosten gets behind the vehicle. The challenge absolutely gunned. Rolex with the shotgun as well. And Team Endgame just keep raking in the points as Powerbang goes down again.
What an incredible collapse that was. You watch both of them turn to the right as they saw Ghosten go off that roof, and Rolex said, thank you for the distraction. I'm going to come in with the shotgun. That was a beautifully executed play.
Siri Otan was the last player eliminated there, and I believe, if the word from production is correct, that is Athena. That is the player that I've been highlighting this entire time, that they have their name changed in game currently, so keep an eye out for that player. They're going to try to stay in highly aggressive moments, just couldn't quite get the better of in-game in that encounter. And as we swap over to Team 13, this is J-Star's team, and again, looking to see if they can continue some at least limited success they've had in the first 2 maps. I'll be curious to see what their changes of their strategy will be. Honestly, throughout this entirety of this tournament, these teams will have to start making those assessment points after this map, right, Courage? Like, once you've played the first half of the tournament, if you're not even halfway up the leaderboard, like, something's got to change.
Oh, yeah, and what's funny is we've actually seen teams pretty aggressively change their drop spots outside of really endgame. And you know what's so funny? What did I talk about? The north side of the zone was almost empty. Well, we just had a north side pull. You can see this zone so far continues pulling towards the north side. And look who's all the way in the middle. Bella Fox and Crew. They've made the decision to grab a vehicle, and the team Dream Gaming to be the first ones to get to the north side of the zone. They're in a great spot as Verifying Crew now looting this death box. Again, with the north side being so free, these players on the south side, I know I sound like a broken record, but there's a lot of new people with their eyes on this big tournament today. $50,000 for this Livic Community Cup, maybe looking for, how to play competitive themselves. All the engagements are going to go on the south side of the map, so that's a storyline we're going to be watching here in these next few minutes.
Yeah, I think a lot of these players may be expecting a pull in a certain direction, and as everything seemed from the very beginning line of the plane to be trending toward the southern portion of the map, and maybe some caught unawares at a rotation north that they didn't anticipate. But we see Bella Fox Gaming on your screen. No eliminations yet for them, so that'll certainly be something on their mind. But, well, eliminations happening in the kill feed. Rhinox, they have 1 total, all players alive and well, and they do have this team, I think, is that Grass Stains team?
Come on, Grass Stains.
Or is that team, I'm not sure.
No, that was
exactly
Grass Stains. That was Grass Stains. Yep.
Yeah, and not in a good position unless you get shot in the side. And, well, that's why you don't get over aggressive with the push out into the open area, Jacob. That includes you too. You got to be a little careful. Gets to the rock, gets some cover, but so very deadly, Coach, when we see these players push out into the open like that, almost always immediately being punished for it.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. I mean, there's moments where you're like, okay, if I stay here, either the blue zone's going to start eating me, or I think there's a third party coming from behind. I mean, Jacob came in and tried to clean up one of those eliminations and couldn't quite be able to do more than just one, maybe almost lost their life in the process. So a lot of different question marks in your head, different decision-making points that could cost you potentially the entire tournament. And, well, Birthday Merms finding at least 1 elimination. You can see Merms finding there's the full. So the knock turned into a full. Merms hanging out inside the blue for a little bit. And this is Team 12 staring them down, saying, okay, what do we do next?
Ugh, man. And Coffee and Prod just know, this is no longer a fun fight we want to be in. Look at how weak Team Merms is. 2 players knocked, the rest ticking towards the storm. Prod does find an angle. Prod does find an angle and will finish one of the kills as well as get another knock. And where I was just saying this fight looked all but over for Prod and Coffee, instead, it's now Prod on the offensive. 4 medkits as well, multiple bandages, has the painkillers to use as well as the energy drink. They'll be able to last in the storm for a while. Oh, grief alert, grief alert. Prod says, I'm not trapped in here with you, my friends. You're trapped in here with me.
I'll be really curious to see what Prod's able to do. And like you said, resource management is so crucial no matter how you play it. If you don't have the meds, you can't hang out here. And well, the opposition might not have as many meds, or at the very least, they have something similar. And their move is, we got to get to one of these vehicles and get out of dodge. And there's the full elim coming in on Merm. So now it's J-Star in trash against Prod. And Prod still has an angle, still throwing bullets down range. And now they're finally backing out of this fight, saying, maybe I don't necessarily want to use every single resource to my advantage, and I can still hold them whenever they do come to zone.
Yeah, Prod just put a few more shots down and realized it's time to go, drops the smoke, and runs away. You see Trash Aim and Starfans still have a couple vehicles there to be able to make a quick getaway, and the zone already beginning to move again. All these squads in really, really tough shape. And while we were watching Prod, here's his teammate Coffee in another fight across the map. Shots being traded, no damage done yet. Coffee going to retreat and try to play an angle, and a right peek on this third person. Major advantage to Coffee as they are now upstairs. Claps fighting an uphill battle, literally and figuratively, in this fight. As Claps knows that, makes a smart decision to back on up for the moment. And now the challenge coming back through again. Coffee knows they're here. Movement on either side. And oh, guess who's here? It's Prod. The 1v1 now turns into 2 versus 1. Prod and Coffee ticking from the storm. They know they've got to go quick. Shots coming on in, and there's a knock. The 1 versus 2. Now a 1 versus 1. Coffee going to try to trade his teammate the shot. Oh my gosh! They traded on out! And how about that? No one lives through the skirmish there. Both squads get eliminated.
Talk about worst case scenario. I can only imagine once we got the overall perspective that Coffee was in that encounter, he was radiating over to Prod saying, get over here as fast as possible. This is a solo. I need you. Let's play the trades up this rooftop building. And then they weren't able to execute on it. Sure, they grabbed 1 elimination, but they lost both their lives in the process.
Goj, that fight, the reason that happens, if you notice, when the car pulls up, Claps stops moving around the outside of the building and immediately sprints to the top of the stairs to force both players to go through that choke point. Hey, he nearly killed both as they first challenged. Coffee was nearly 1 shot. As oh my goodness. That was about
Those
1 second it took. Not fun.
Courage, we look at those UTVs and we've talked about it. They get you from POI to POI, but you are so exposed when you are riding in them. So Ahmad, understanding exactly what I'm talking about, gets mowed out of that vehicle. But now Fallen Moon, their turn. They do have a couple eliminations on the board. The team relatively alive and well, most of them in the play zone. 1 fully eliminated as we swing over Synthetic's team here. Well, they're all just taking a break. They're just hanging out, getting everything set up before they get into their next push. As we take a look at Puff's team, 3 eliminations for them. But I feel like we blinked in that engagement. Suddenly we're down to 8 teams left. And no surprise, it's right around that 4-5 zone pole.
Yep. Good use of the smoke.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, Solar's just throwing bullets downrange onto that smoke. Have no idea. They don't have the information. That was a recall tower right next to Solara, so there is an opportunity for somebody to maybe play a bit more aggressive. And, well, Riggs found an elimination earlier, but the play zone finds Riggs, and we'll get the full elim on Riggs. And, again, we go back to this. I think the blue zone has found somewhere around 4 to 5 elims every map thus far.
Rolex takes down her, but Rolex quickly traded as the squads on the edge of the map are fighting. It looks like Endgame now in a big engagement versus Dream Squad. Dream moving for the outside angle. It's Powerbang watching as it looks like they found 1. Nice shotgun there from Dream. Powerbang actually not involved in this one, as that was Team Jacob who was there. Dream just stay alive for the moment. It's 3 teams in this fight. That's why I was confused for a second as you see here, Jacob now cleaning up again. On to Team Endgame. Jacob has been the thorn in the side of Team Endgame in games 2 and 3.
Well, now all you have is Gosen remaining as Powerbang and the rest of our first place team fall. But hey, we've seen him do it before. All you have to do is hide away if you can. Take the time to at least continue to accumulate those points. Because as you said it earlier too, Jack, as that team falls and we only have 6 remaining, you're going to get more and more and more as all these teams get eliminated. And just like that, we're at 5. And suddenly, if they can somehow manage to get into 3rd, you get into that double-digit placement point, and well, Gosen, that is where he will fall.
The big thing to remember is it's 5 with only 8 remaining, so this is a very, very scrappy game. A solo or duo can easily still win this match as Jacob shifting back and forth, trying to pop those heals, and a good use of the smoke to be able to cross this choke point. Across the map, though, this is our biggest squad left in the game. Solara, Raph, and Shotman still alive, a team of 3. As they play this back ridge line zone at their back, they will have to move a little bit forward, but it looks like they have one teammate already in the zone, and they'll match him as well.
I mean, Courage, this is the other thing to remember, too. Like, you said there were only a few teams left, and a lot of players were solos, and Dream finds one Elim from distance. Great shots down onto the opposition. But it's this Team 8. Team, I believe, Amigos that have the player advantage at the highest degree. It's 3 versus 1 versus 1 as Jacob finds an Elim on the right side of the zone. Look at this circle. There is a structure in the center that I know Dream wants to get to. The problem is they don't know exactly where the entirety of Team 8 is. You can see Solara going prone off into the distance, and they're going to start spreading out slightly, still being able to play that overwatch position.
Jacobs can still win this game. If these teams fight first, he'll see the knock come on in, and knowing how few players are left, Jacob can... Oh, Jacob does go down. Now it's Dream left in a 1 versus 2. Did a great job of making it just a duo still remaining. They're spraying into the smoke. Shotman can't find it yet. Dream trading the damage. Nades will force Dream out of position if they can be thrown correctly. And Solara in such a power position up against this building. Oh, there's no way. Dream with the nade cook falls right at their feet. Congratulations to Puffs and crew as they take game number 3, which will give them not only 15 points for first, but what, another 16 for eliminations? That is a massive point swing for them.
What a great ending. But Dream's team as well, a very high amount, 7 eliminations. Very, very, very high amount of eliminations for all of the top 3 teams. And, well, you couple those placement points together. I think this is the moment I'm curious to see now, Coach, how does our leaderboard shift considering, well, for the first time, Powerbang's team not in those final 3?
No, exactly, right? I mean, Dream with 7 eliminations in their own right, plus their teammates too. That's 18 points on top of second place 12. That's a 30-point game, right? Like, that's the tied for the second biggest game we've seen thus far, with 31 being the best. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on our leaderboard, get all the scores updated for you. But I believe we're going to check in with Hot Jukes for a little informational piece before we go any further. Half of this tournament done, Courage. $50,000 on the line, and we're already halfway through, and it has been nothing but chaos.
What's up, everybody? It's your host, Hot Jukes. I'm back, man. That last match
was
Chad. Insane. The ladies.
Damn. Yo, these games have been freaking sick, huh?
Place finish. Jacob
these games have been sick, huh?
Dying with Courage, busting out the just thick caster curse on top of Jacob. Just saying, Jacob, he could do. Oh, you know. Oh, I love to hear it. Love to hear it. But guys, I hope you guys are having a great time. So much has been happening so far in the game of PUBG Mobile. You know, 3 years, 4 years over. I mean, it's so crazy to see from
these
start
games
to
have been
finish.
sick.
Not to mention,
I got me hyped. Thank you guys. Thank you for the love.
Rolex.
I appreciate it.
Back together again, dude. Oh, I'm just getting all the lights out nostalgia in the chat. Let's get some LOs in the chat, huh? Let's bring it back. You know, why don't we go ahead and take a look at the scoreboard? I think I hear the production yelling about, yeah, we got it ready. So let's go ahead and see exactly how they're doing. Oh, you know what? Before we actually take that, we have an amazing video for you guys. I don't know if you guys have been checking out Livik as much as I have. I remember the first day I walked to that waterfall, looked underneath it, and saw it. So many different modes. One of my favorite maps in the game. Let's go ahead and take a look at this amazing video of Livik through the ages.
I'm going to the bathroom, chat. I think I have time. Hear me. so good, Courage. Keep it up. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. It feels really good to be back, and I'm having so much fun casting. Like, doing this again and just knowing, like, hey, I can still do this shit, man. I can still cast.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh man, it was so good to just see like how Livic was developed there in a little bit, man. A little look behind the scenes. I'd love to see that. But you know what? The scene is now. So why don't we go ahead and take a look at the scoreboard, see where everybody is lining up after this one. And end game, 72 points. Let's go, baby. Rolex and PB trying to get some money for their peeps. Dream Gaming as well, second place. Love to see that. Bella Fox and her gaming coming together. Joining forces with a nice 64. Void as well in third place and going all the way down the line. So far we see 13th place with the birthday girl. Merms, come on. Fates, step it up, buddy. Come on, baby. Merms, I know she's about to go pop off here in the next few matches, so I'm excited to see that. But man, it's so great to see so many of these amazing content creators giving some of their time here to be able to give back to the community. And man, PUBG Mobile definitely give it back. $50,000 on the line here today. Can you believe that? 50K. Literally, I remember the first time I ever played in a major tournament. It was the biggest one at the time. And I think we as a whole team won 10K. Now one person's going to win 10 grand. Literally, one person's gonna win 10 grand, the other's gonna win 10 grand. That's the first place prize right there, $20,000. And remember, it's only the duo community members that made it all this way that are gonna go ahead and take it. And right now, it's end game. Affy, GoSun won. We saw them pop off before. They hot dropped together and they made it to victory. So we got a chance to talk to some of our creators and we asked them, what is your favorite player to hot drop with? Who is your Midstein hot drop buddy? So why don't we go ahead and take a quick look at that?
If I'm hot dropping Midstein, Flip is definitely going to be on my team. Why? Stage 5 Clinger.
I'm hot dropping Midstein, and who's on my team and why? I'll tell you. I want Rolex, Ace Lawrence, and Fates on my team because I just want to carry them and get some good clickbait video from that.
Oh, Midstein, one of the most nervous and hard plays in PUBG Mobile. If I drop at Midstein,
Dude, it's so cool.
I wish I could wipe out Midstein.
See how global a game like PUBG Mobile is.
Confident in close fights.
It's a no-brainer. You go to a wrangle, you find the best apartment rats, you team up with them, you carry them over to Livic, drop Midstein with them. You'll dominate. I mean, you will dominate.
DeFuego, I've been playing with him since almost day one. He knows what I'm going to do before I know. We work very well together. Merms, because sniping. And the third pick is kind of a dream pick. Bushka. His statistical analysis.
Would I rather eat raw beef or raw chicken? Isn't
to play with,
like, don't people like actually eat raw beef, but eating raw chicken is like horrible for you?
That's who I would hot drop Midstein with.
Duo squatting with Ace Lawrence because we don't want to fight over elimination, and his gameplay on Livic especially is a masterpiece.
So if I was gonna hot drop Midstein, I'd probably want Rolex, Hot Jukes, and Powerbang on my team so that Rolex can eliminate everyone while we send Hot Jukes in as bait, and Powerbang can sit back and just give us some sick one-liners.
My dream squad, hot dropping Midstein, would have to be duo squatting, and I would choose Thanos. Because, you know, one snap of the fingers and that's half the level. So, you know, I'm guaranteed to win.
Thanos.
Midstein, who's on your team and why? I would choose Ace Lawrence, which he's the shotgun king. He plays Livic all the time and he just destroys lobbies. Just Ace Lawrence for sure.
If I were to hot drop Midstein, I definitely have Coops with me because he's one of the best players I've ever seen play this game. Also Fates, he's an amazing player. And definitely Ace Lawrence because he's one of the
Powerbang, more like Power
best
Dead
users I have ever seen play this game.
All right, if I had to go with a team, I'd have to go with me, Ace Lawrence, the shotgun guy, and Elon Musk. I'm serious.
Woo! Welcome back, everybody, right there, man. First off, Dad Plays. How dare you, bro? How dare you? Using the old Rolex track, dude, baiting me out, dude. I hate to see it. But guys, welcome back here to the lobby. How are you guys feeling? Courage? 3 matches in, papa. 3 matches, 2. Oh, we got what, 3 more left to go.
3 more to go.
Let's do it.
We're only halfway done, Jukes. And what excites me right now, for everyone watching at home,
Oh yeah,
saying, "Man, Endgame's."
Production can hear you.
Did
Production.
Jack
I pulled the Jukes. No!
Yo, the big boys working together. That's how you do it, man. I like how you did that out of solidarity for me. Thank you so much.
All right. What I said was, wow. No, we're 3 maps and 3 games and 3 more to go. What's exciting for me and what's exciting for everyone at home, in my opinion, is, yes, we've been talking a lot about Endgame at 2. I thought would take this home to start the tournament. They've been in first from game 1 all the way to this point. But after game 2, they had a 15-point lead on second place. Now, after game 3, they're only up by 9 points on third place. So the gap has closed a lot. Absolutely still anybody's game. And many of those middle-of-the-ground teams, you see Emotional Damage, our game 1 squad who took it home. Team Amigos, who just popped off. We know those teams have what they need to be able to take home a win. So seriously, even though they're down by 25 points, 30 points, it's totally still possible for them to come right on back.
Yeah, Katie, seeing the top 2 squads, right? Top 2 squads, 0 chicken dinners, right? It's the third place one that's got one. How do you feel like that has to play here going into the rest of the day?
Well, I'm not surprised. Oftentimes when it comes to these battle royales, especially when you have those placement multipliers, it's not actually always about getting that chicken dinner, getting that first place. It's about consistently getting into that second or third multiplier. So second place, third place in the case here for the final, and coupling that with a very solid amount of eliminations each time. So I'm not surprised to see these teams. Yes, you might not have won a map, but it doesn't matter, because as we heard Courage say a little bit ago, it's all about that consistency, and they are doing it the best.
Heck yeah, they're gonna need some W's. And speaking of W's, right, let's take it back to the game. Next match has begun. Y'all take it away.
Look, I am excited to see what map 4 will bring us. I mean, a couple of the other notes that we can mention based on the last 3 maps we'll continue to see carry forward is, of course, variability of our plane line, as well as variability of our drop spots, as well as variability of those in-game circles. And that's what makes Battle Royale so special. That's what makes PUBG Mobile so special, is that you see all different types of action across the board. But Courage, it is worth noting that Logistics Center drop spot, it looks like in-game is headed right back there for the 2nd or 3rd time now, out of total of 4 maps.
Hey, there's a saying that we all know: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's exactly what they're doing right here. They're in first for a reason, and it's because they're confident in this landing spot. They know kind of exactly what to expect, but funny enough, there's actually a different team contesting them this time around. It's Team Skylight, who are currently in 12th place, also at this POI. So if I'm Team Endgame, and I notice that this is a different squad, here with me is already, yeah, there you go. They say goodbye. And again, I think a large reason is because they don't have control of that middle building. That middle building dictates the pressure on this position. And 3 games in a row, if you do not have the mid building control, the team has backed on up. It makes a hell of a lot of sense as they do it right there. I thought Skylight was about to go up against the #1 team in this tournament and get rolled, but their game will continue.
Yeah, and at this point as well, you have to assume some of these teams, if they're aware, they know Endgame is going to consistently be landing at that POI. That's the only place they've landed. So if you land there and aren't confident early on, I'm not surprised to see a very quick rotation to go somewhere else. You do not want to be going up against a team that not only has the firepower, but the longevity to sustain in a fight. But Trash, we'll see if they can sustain. The answer, no. Flies around the corner. Synthetic with a nice connection, and an elimination comes in. We will see you later, Trash AM. Nice job from Synthetic. Very hyper aggressive push, and it pays off.
Courage, I was going to ask this question to you as you take a look at the way Team 13 is currently playing. Like, Trash was completely separated from their squad. I didn't know if they maybe were going to this POI thinking, hey, there's probably not a team here. I can loot this up myself. Like, resource management has been so crucial, and maybe they just got caught into that encounter, were able to find a knock and then move forward from there, and had really just told Merms and J-Star, maybe don't address the fight. I don't know exactly what their plan was.
Yeah, no, that just seemed like it was a little bit of a hero play attempt. I don't think that needed to necessarily happen, but in the end, Trash does go down. So that team going to have to back up off that POI as we swap positions. Bushka and Follow Moon, the last 2 remaining of this squad, as they right now off to a rough start in game number 4. Again, if you're just tuning on in, this is the PUBG Mobile 2022 Live It Community Cup. $50,000 on the line. 4 days of playing, all leads up to this. 3 more games to go as we are in the middle of game number 4. Still anybody's tournament. There are 13 squads in this one. And of those 13 squads, 50 players remain. As we're watching Merms, again, Merms' birthday today. They will get Trash Can back on up, so that early engagement already fixed. As you see a little bit of an interesting fight right here. Solgi laying down, and oh gosh, Pickle Chew. This is not a fun time. It looks like Slogi wants to take a bite of that pickle, and down they go. Slogi gets the job done.
That was more than a bite, right? Just completely devoured the whole pickle. That was team emotional damage, losing pickle in that encounter. Sologi, well done. Look, the rat plays work, and they work well, especially when your opponents don't have all of the information.
But I just love that play because you don't necessarily have to isolate yourself like that, but to just lay prone, wait for someone to come to you, and then especially wait until that exact moment when you know you can guarantee the kill and don't have to take any unnecessary risks. Just a really great play overall. But now we swing back to the team of the day so far. Powerbang's team don't have any eliminations just yet. Usually I feel like we see them with a few at this point, but look at that centering out of Jacob's team as well. Almost dead center in the middle of this zone. A couple of teams hovering to the left and right of Midstein. No one really committing to that POI yet, but I do like Jacob's team. They are smack dab in the middle, which means any rotation they need, they can make it.
Somehow Trash just keeps finding themselves in 1 versus 4s. A P90 on height. Best of luck is, here comes the help from J-Star. Teammates now over the crest of the hill. Trash aim, hold the door. Doing their best Hodor impression as the pressure comes on through. Trash does go down. It's Bezzy Boss and Payback, trading that on out. Now a 3 versus 3 is Trash dead again.
I just love the fact, Coach, that J-Stars, they got that initial down, and then they saw Trash get down. They all got in the cars and immediately peeled away. They're like, sorry, my guy, we're out.
I'm out. I'm gone. Yeah, there's just no way I'm staying around for that fight, especially when they have the building control. No question. And this is Grass Stains on your screen right now. And something to mention about Grass Stains was that Bessie Boss's team in the duos event won by a massive margin. They had a total of 72 points between 3 maps, which we're not even close to that right now in squads. I think maybe in-game somewhere around in the 60s. I'll have to double-check the leaderboard in a second. But regardless, 72 after 3, if you could translate that consistency over to this 6-map series, I mean, of course, you would love to see them near the top of the leaderboard. Not as much success as we maybe once thought, but this could be the map to turn it around. Like, we're in the second half of the tournament. Like, now's the time to go, especially if you're at the bottom of the leaderboard. You got to get a move on, and there's that quick revive.
Yeah, this was a team I pointed Grass Stains out at the very beginning of the final today as a team that I expected to do extremely well and just haven't shown up so far. But as we know, when you have something like 6 maps, you can always make something crazy happen. It's not out of the realm of possibility to think that a wild final 3 or 2-map comeback could potentially be in the works. But hey, on the bright side, you do have an elimination and you're all alive. So far, so good, right, Courage?
Yeah, no, and you know what it is, too? They've done a good job skirmishing. They've got a couple eliminations. Sometimes there's nerves that come into this. You got to remember, this could be the first time some of these players are being casted. It's the first time some of these players are here competing for this much money. Nerves do come into play, and that's where we talk about experience in these tournaments, where it makes a major difference. I'm sure you've both experienced when you're playing in a little bit of a higher stakes or your first time casting a major event. You feel those butterflies. It takes you a game or two to shake them on off. So now that we're in game number 4, I'd expect all of these players, they've got a little bit more experience in this squad type format. They've got the nerves going away. Now we're really going to see the cream of the crop rise to the top. Kind of bars right there, not going to lie, as we see who can finish strong on this final day.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And I want to back up on an earlier statement. It was Bessie Boss and Payback that had the 72-point win in duos. In-game's currently sitting on 72 points exactly right now after 3 maps, by the way. So if history repeats itself, we could see in-game have an incredible tournament, continue their success, and win this 50K finals. But they've got a long way to go. And you can see the leaderboard between us right now. 72 is the current score to beat, but Dream at 64. That's not that sizable of a margin when you start coming down and thinking about placement points. You think about the amount of the elims that takes. That's 4 elims. That's 1 squad wipe, Courage.
And there's another one that just came on through. Katie, you mentioned it. You thought they were going to do well. They're finally starting to show up. 4 quick kills come in for them. Bessie Boss is knocked, but so much skirmishing to start. I'm surprised they even have enough meds to do this, as they have been non-stop at the moment. Right on the edge of this zone, you see right by Lighthouse there, the Storm beginning to move on through. J-Star does go down. Fights continuing to happen. 3 teams here fighting from all sorts of different angles. This is about to get very, very hectic.
Take a look. Dead Hope eliminates Merm, a couple in that elimination feed coming back and forth here. And now you have Lovely just taking pot shot after pot shot onto Bessie Boss's team out that window, trying to connect, and has done so decently enough. But these players so far away that you're going to be able to get maybe a shot or two. Looking to take it, connects on a couple onto Bessie Boss. But even if you get that down, Goge, you're not going to be able to convert it into an elimination.
Well, that's exactly what happened. Lovely actually achieved a down on Byte Gaming from distance with the DP. I call it the dinner plate shooter. It hits like dinner plates hitting you straight in the face. I mean, that thing hits like a truck from distance, especially if you don't have the sniper and you can throw on one of those 3 or 4 times scopes on the DP. It's a great weapon to use at range. Now, at close range, maybe not so much. So you got to have that M10 as that secondary. Regardless, we'll see if they're able to execute on some of these encounters. You can see Verify also holding an angle at the top of this building, making sure nobody comes up from the stairs, but could just peek around this corner and grab a quick pick. And that's all you really need. If you're playing that ISO aggro position, grab 1 elim and then get out.
Exactly that. You couldn't have brought up a better point. That's where I wanted to go with this. You're basically needing to, when you're going to peek and reveal yourself, if you're at a number disadvantage, 1v4, 1v3, it applies to 1v2, but not as much. If you're going to peek and expose yourself, Verify needs to guarantee a knock. And look at that! Verify's done exactly that! Forget 1 knock. How about 3? Verify now with an opportunity to get a full squad wipe. Go back, production. Give me that fight, please.
There it is.
Payback looking for the knock, and you know what it was? He blew up the vehicle to get that quick knock. Shot still coming in. Can Verify finish the kill? It's 1 more bullet from 1 player in a 1 versus 4 to a 1v1. Verify with the nade. Shout out Kobe doesn't connect. No, it falls just behind. Oh, a little bit of damage. A little bit of damage. Verify, another nade being cooked. Payback. Trying to get the angle. No. Verify.
Gets caught out cooking the nade. Payback. That is the most impressive 1v multiple fight we have seen today. Absolutely outstanding out of Verify. Unfortunately, just a little too exposed. Courage with that nade cook at the end.
Katie, you brought it up earlier. That vehicle is like it's like they put a kick me sign on the back of them. Like, please shoot me when I'm in that exposed
UTV doesn't play games.
UTV. And we talked about how Verify had to be patient and look for the perfect opportunity to get 1. He says, shut up, fatty, talking to me. He says, how about I get 3 of them and nearly find all 4? I will tell you this. Verify is going to be so mad that that nade was overthrown by just a few feet. So darn close from getting the squad wipe. Great look at the map right there. Many players near the north side of the zone, the middle of the zone. Pretty clear for the moment as Jacob. I feel like Jacob is most of the aggro plays we see. Throws out the flash, uses it for cover to get back into the building to get away. But oh no.
He's going right into another counter as he gets rolled up on. He says, no, not today. You're not going to let this happen to me. I am the aggro player. I am the self-proclaimed solo versus squad king, and he is showcasing it right now. He's going to make sure he has every piece of cover available. He's going to use these different angles to show the enemies to his teammates, and they are able to find the elims and take out an entire team in a matter of moments. Jacob, perfectly executed 1v multiple situation and great overwatch from his teammates. We'll see if Her can maybe sneak in from the other side. And something we were noting before about the grenades, those things will bounce and they will roll and they will continue to roll. So cooking them at the appropriate time and cooking them for a very long amount of time so they explode on impact is how you secure those elims. And I think if Verify would have done that, they would have grabbed a potentially full team wipe. Well, Metacore all of a sudden has gone down in another encounter on the edge of the circle. And you can see our circle is closing and it is closing quickly. And Metacore is going to get cleaned up by the commander himself, Bushka.
Yeah, that's Team Snakes pushing on forward. They're currently at 10th place with 23 points. A couple of quick eliminations right there. Metalcore, we saw in the interview just before this video, or this game began, sorry, as up. Look who it is. It's Endgame holding teams on the edge of zone. Can they get multiple? They do have a vehicle, though, this time, Katie.
Oh, Kurt, I was about to say, he was slightly off screen. I was about to ask, where's Powerbank?
Oh, well, he's knocked. Don't worry. He's knocked.
That's fair.
Look, Powerbank, I promise I'm really not trying to make you the butt of the joke, my friend. It just so happens that every time we go to show your team love, you're somehow getting knocked. I'm sorry. It's like the ultimate caster curse, as this looks like the most grim situation that Endgame has found themselves in yet. Affy goes down. Rolex dead. Powerbang dead. It's all down to Ghostin, who's under half HP for the moment. Can Ghostin get out? No. And for the first time in this tournament, Endgame is out very early on. Some might say they didn't make it to the endgame.
That's a huge boon, especially because Dream Gaming was also involved with that somewhat, and they're the second place team. So, Coach, you gotta be feeling really good seeing they are out early. They do not have the chance to make any sort of sneaky, squirrely plays through the water, wherever else you might be trying to take them out. They will have to sit back and wait and watch the rest of map 4 unfold before they get a chance to take another shot at it. And hey, if Dream Gaming can have an incredible map here, we will see a lead change.
Sure, it's certainly still possible, right? It was an 8-point lead going into this map, but it is also kind of raises the stakes, right? Like, this is the moment that just about every other team needed to start closing that deficit, whether it was an 8-point deficit or a 20-point deficit. You know, this is a massive opportunity to chunk away here in map number 4. And as the play zone eliminates a few, and what looks like 4-12 is also going to eliminate a few, team number 9, Jacob, still in a fantastic spot, a total of 3 elims. The question is, where do you rotate from here? You're still on the edge of zone, and there are a lot of teams sitting inside the middle circle.
Oh, man. They do have a vehicle, though. Bella Fox going to go for a res on their teammate, Her. Across the map, though, Tempo, Prod, Max, Coffee, all full health, all alive. Long-range scopes, looking for shots down on these players stuck in the buildings. 7 squads remaining, 20 players left. As you see Jacob cooking this nade, they're trying to push. Oh, they are. They're pushing right at Bella Fox and Her. And the nade lands right on Bella Fox to knock not only Bella Fox, but Her as well. Jacob right now leaning towards the MVP of this tournament, in my opinion. But he does get knocked by Star across the map.
It feels like all of these teams, even first through third, the moment they have an opportunity, an opening in this map 4, it gets taken away by another team flying in, and that is exactly what's happening. So many of these players being funneled into tough, open areas where they just cannot find the cover. Those nades are going to get maximum damage down onto them, and now Payback here knows that Star is down, might not have the opportunity to make much happen there, but that'll be Thirst going down. Star falls to the play zone. Griezmann with a down onto Dead Hope, and suddenly these players dropping like flies. Only 12 left with 6 teams. As we see Prod with 5 eliminations, Prod on their own. These final teams already with 7 total, putting themselves in a very good position, especially as the 6 teams remaining go. It means we are getting very close to some scary multipliers.
Yeah, I was taking a look at the map, and I was going to state that Tempo Sonics is in a perfect position. Well, they've lost Prod right as I say that, but still, they have a decent player advantage. There's 4 teams left, total of 10 players. So you can do the math there. As long as you have 3, you're in a decent spot. But when you have 1 down, if you can get that revive, circle back to the middle of the zone, and have 4 players going to these last few fights, you would have a decent at least small advantage. But look, now 3 teams left, and we were mentioning this beforehand. Once you get to the 5th and 6th circles. We had 10 teams. Now we're down to 3. This is the largest zone we've had thus far. And on your screen right now, Team Dream with, again, 7 eliminations in total. Potential chance to go double digits in this map.
7 eliminations, but the least amount of players remaining. It's currently a 2v3v4, as it looks like on the edge of your screen, Max and Coffee both go down. Kills being traded back and forth. Multiple players down on the map right now. Prod and Tempo, the last 2 alive, trying to get their eliminated kills before they might drop. They want those points. Dream laying down, just cooking Hail Marys, and the opportunity hasn't come in yet. Dream now in a 1 versus 4, but what Dream I don't think realizes is that it's realistically a 1v2. But I believe Tempo will get these reses, and yeah, that's going to do it. Dream in a 1 versus 4. Best of luck, but Go just does not look good.
It doesn't look good at all. I was going to say if Dream could find an angle around the right side, if they had the information, certainly doable, but Prod's position was most likely going to prevent that, right? You have this big piece of cover with this rock structure. You could also use it, yes, for cover verticality-wise, but you also have every piece of information available in order to secure the win. Prod can look across the battlefield and say, this circle is so small, I know exactly the angles that I can get shot from and where the opponents can come from, and I can only imagine they're going to be rotating in from the zone by the last remaining structure, and Dream in pure competitive fashion says, I'm not giving away 2 points, I'm dancing to my death. And here with our score leaderboard, again, a massive effort. 10 eliminations between Team Tempo with Prod and Coffee. That's 20 points on top of 15. That's the largest game of the day.
The biggest game of the day
by far.
Yeah.
And not only that too, but keep a note, Dream there did more than enough at that point to get that second place coupled with their kills when they're in that second position already, on top of knowing that Endgame was eliminated early on. Yes, you're maybe in an impossible scenario, but they gotta be happy, right, with how that ended.
I'm gonna call it. We're gonna have a new leader after this when we see the scoreboard. I'm sorry to cut you off, Jukes, but we are going to have a new leader almost certainly at the end of this game.
Dude, took the words straight out of my mouth, dude. I mean, Dream are living the dream. That's exactly what I gotta agree with you, Katie. I mean, that was so beautifully executed. And it kind of makes me think, because like in circle number 5, we saw her and Bella, right, rocking as a duo squad on top of the hill, and they got that beautiful nade, of course, by Jacob, but they had the other 2 players as well, the 2 community members in the middle of the zone. Nice little 2-2 split, and we saw them still able to get up some nice elims and consistent points. So it looks like, hey, her, Bella, and squad, they've been putting in some homework, right? Because they're looking to take this whole thing here, Courage.
Oh, they absolutely are. And you know, Team Dream, their duo was first in Group A with 61 points across 3 games. So taking that first place mindset, bringing it over here now, I believe, if my math is correct, I believe they're going to be in first. We'll see in the scoreboard here in a moment. But brilliant competition so far through 4 games, 2 games remaining.
Yes, sir, indeed. And yo, Tempo Sonics as well, like you mentioned, you know, the top points so far in this tournament, Coach. I mean, they were in what, 8th or 9th place before this one? So I mean, a must win for them. I mean, they still got a shot at it, I would think so, right? I mean, we'll find out here in a little bit, but go.
No, exactly. Exactly. I mean, we talked about it during the break off screen. We talked about it on screen as well. Like, you had to change your strategy up. And if it was, hey, we need to play aggressive and get the win, perfect, right? We've jumped ourselves up from 8th place, where we're taking home a little bit of money, to a potential chance for maybe 3rd place going into this next map, depending on the math. Dropping the biggest map of the day is impressive. The question is the Courage consistency there? And as we take a look at our scoreboard, weren't quite able to make it up to 3rd, but they are in 4th with 63 total points at the top of the leaderboard. Dream Gaming, our new leaders going into the last 2 maps. 92 points is your score to beat. And in-game still sitting around 73 or so, with Void tied in 2nd with 73. What a changeup.
Katie, 19-point difference now between 1st and 2nd. Then 2nd and 3rd are tied. I mean, what are you thinking? Like, what are you gonna see? What do you think we're gonna see different from these squads going in the last 2 matches?
I mean, this is just, I can't understate how impressive what Dream Gaming have done through the first 4 maps are, because they have been slowly but steadily eating away at that first place lead that Endgame had. Going into map 4, they only were in second by 8 points, and now you're in first by almost 20. It is just truly incredible what they've been able to do. Tempo Sonics as well, continuing to march
chat,
their
that's a
way
big
up. So
lead.
really,
That is a
anyone's
big
game.
lead.
I mean, if you're Dream Gaming, you aren't sitting pretty yet, but you got to be feeling really good. But you know what? I think what we've seen out of Tempo Sonics, especially Prod, has been playing extremely well. But also, I think Jacob on another one of the teams has been very, just so hyper aggressive on Void's team. So I think Tempo Sonics, Void, you're going to see him continue to move up. Maybe even, who knows, push Endgame out of second place.
Ooh, that'd be interesting to see here. Now, Courage, bro. You know, last 2 matches coming up, right? Team Skylight. They're in last place, right? That's Athena Gaming, Seriotan himself, right?
Yeah.
One of the legends here. You know who's going to pop off and get angry about that? My question is, though, we've had a few games here. Everybody knows where everybody drops by now, right?
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to start seeing some, like, just crazy attacks, hot drops here in the last 2 matches?
Yeah, I mean, look, hopefully any of these top teams don't have any beef with any of the bottom teams, because if there's one thing that we've seen from some of these squads in other tournaments and other games as well is, hey, you can get a little bit salty and try to land on some people and ruin their event. So I don't know if that'll happen here. Hopefully not. Hopefully there's no griefing. Let's have some fun. But let's just say if I had some beef and that person was at first place, I'd be dropping right on their forehead, taking the 50-50.
Right? Might as well. I mean, heck, I remember the last event I played in, you know, I was playing with Brook AB, you know, and Bushka, and we were just chilling. All of a sudden, Brook AB just turned on us and started shooting on us. You know, no, thank God, you know, friendly fire wasn't turned on. So hopefully we don't have to see that from any of these squads, you know. But at the end of the day, consistency. Consistency is going to be the thing to win this. And right now, it's all Dream Gaming, Coach.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I do want to bring up the tie situation currently, because this is worth noting, right? As we take a look at our tiebreakers, the first tiebreaker, should it continue to be tied all the way to the end? I can't suspect it will, but we saw multiple tiebreakers in the first 2 days of competition that were on broadcast. The first tiebreaker after points is total eliminations, all right? So again, continue to watch our scoreboard. Sure, the points might tell one story, but the question is, how many elims did you get along the way? Because if you get first, you're taking home $20,000, but then there's a $10,000 drop off to second place, and you go all the way down to fourth at $3,000. Sixth is $2,000. Fifth, $2,500, and we stagger all the way down to 13th, taking home $500. So keep an eye on those tiebreakers. And hey, should you have the same amount of
Courage is the best commentator.
It's
Thank
then
you.
total first place finishes. It's total chicken dinners that you have on the map. So we'll continue to keep you updated on our scoreboards and see if that's even going to be into the equation. But Jacob, I like him. He's playing great. He's finding a lot of elims. I can only imagine Team Void's going to be continuing to breathe down in game's neck.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to mention, you know, I know we haven't been talking about it a lot. We look at that top prize pool, but hey, there's still a lot of money to be made here in those mid of the pack, you know, regions. So at this point, Courage, if you're in the game, right, I want you to be Coach Courage right now. You got there, you got the whiteboard, right? You're talking to those teams 5th place on down, right? What are you telling them before this next match starts? Come on.
Biggest thing I'm telling them, and the things that I've noticed from watching the game so far today, is to get land on 2 of the stronger vehicles in the game. Literally, if you have to split your drop to land on good vehicles, land on the good vehicles and use them to your advantage. Then try to take note as you're dropping of where most of the teams drop towards, getting as much information as possible to know where to expect most of your opponents. Like right now, you should be immediately calling and watching. All right, one team going north side, one team landing, top board, one team going here towards Midstein. Calling all those things out will be extremely key. And then finally, no hero plays needed. Use your numbers to your advantage. Don't try to go and be the guy that can turn a tournament around by throwing your life away. It's just not worth it.
That's a great point, especially with some of our content creators that are used to the 1v4 situations in pubs. Like, this is customs, and although you might not know a lot of the names in here from the community members, they are certainly talented. And I believe, by the way, Kurt, as we take a look at our overarching viewpoint of the map and where some of these teams will drop, we see some massive changes.
Oh,
Team
yeah.
In-game has elected to drop Hot Spring, and we see our first drop, which I believe this is the first team to drop Iceborg. I think that's her gaming squad as well. So some of our top squads now on the north side of the map.
Look, I Endgame know better than me, but even though they had a rough game right there, I just don't know if changing everything up is necessarily what I do. You know, they knew and had a good feeling on the pacing of the south side of the map through games 1 through 4. They got in an unfortunate pinch by 2 different teams in that last game and died on out. But now to change your entire playstyle and shift to the north side of the map, I don't know how that's going to go. As Serioton all by themselves here in a 1 versus 3. And, well, when it's a 1 versus 3, your odds of winning that are very low. It does take one down, but no elimination will come on through, as they will get full killed here to start off the game with the first death.
It does look like they have one elimination. I assume, obviously not from anyone here, that they were just able to down, but, well, they know what is about to happen. The impending doom. We swing over to Fake Rig's team. No eliminations for them just yet. And taking a look as they just continue to loot, maybe get some of those teammates back into the action. Flame, they're just scouting things out. And that's what those good teammates do when you have to have that Overwatch position. You have to constantly be moving around, checking every single angle. You can't assume that you're safe. We've seen some of these teams make mistakes like that. And, well, I actually don't mind this play from Dab's team in hoping that perhaps this downed player is going to bring in the remaining members of the team. And you can get some pot shots in, but it looks like maybe they aren't taking the bait just yet.
It also negates their ability to bring them back immediately, right? They're hamstrung for at least 60 seconds or so as they slowly but surely bleed out. And Serioton, again, can play that kind of aggressor standpoint. When their team is dropping on a recall tower, like you saw with Elenice, they said, all right, hey, Serioton, just go find some elims, and then we'll bring you right back should things go awry, and then we'll play together as a team. And I believe that's exactly what they're about to do. Here comes the res. They're going to be flying right back in immediately.
Wow, I actually love to see that small bit of info, you know, as someone who's new to commentating PUBG Mobile, but also, you know, watching this new map, seeing that bit of playstyle, something that I didn't necessarily know, and I like seeing that. You know, go out, get a couple eliminations, maybe fight a team. You mentioned that there's some superstar 1v4 type players in this. Serioton is one of them. Nearly got 2 in that last fight. At least got 1 elimination. It's 2 points of the team, and guess what? They're already back.
Exactly. Well, we'll see where they're able to go from here. The big question is, can you find the loot, right? And not run into another team, because now you're separated slightly and saying, okay, I have no resources, I have no weapons. Let's get to some buildings and let's loot up. And hopefully they haven't been looted yet. And then I can swing around the corner and maybe do it again. It looked like Boss was in a bit of an issue. Well, Serioton immediately getting shots from distance and takes down most of their health. A few bandages, I believe, was the only loot that they had. So, yeah, sure, let's heal back up. But now where do we go from here, right? We know there's Team 11 all the way across the river, but I just need to continue to run. And maybe that strategy doesn't always work out if you come back from the revive and you still get pressure put on you.
I mean, you got to be so careful, right? Because when you're first coming back as Puffs, well, Puff, speaking of a tough situation, the only one alive on that team. But you have to be so careful when you have that initial drop back. Where are you landing? Is it safe? Is it going to already be looted? Is it a viable, good spot for you? Or in Serio's case, are you downed once again in a bit of a tricky position? And really, your teammates trying to make your way toward them. We'll see if Serio is able to, or if Trash is going to be ready and waiting to kind of convert that into the full elimination. Sloji looking like they're trying to get there, maybe sneak off some sort of a revive. That'll be huge if they can. Trash right at that angle and that movement. Didn't see it.
Look at Verify's angle on the top right. If we can see Verify's POV, might have an opportunity now to pinch on down and get some pot shots from behind. You see just on the top right of our screen, Puffs looking to get the respawn on 3 teammates here.
Wow.
And it might just happen.
It's a huge fight as well, right? This is Seriotan's team. Seriotan, by the way, has already used their one death, if you can call it that. You can't get revived more than one time per map. So if you get brought back in, you've got to find your way to safety, and that's the trouble right now for Elenesis squad. This purple team 5 have had quite a bit of issues today, and they are just getting pinched from all sides.
I love this right now from Verify. Look, they're in a good spot. J-Star now pinching as well. It looks like the fight isn't necessarily going to happen because a third party has shown up. That's Lil Homies now with shots from behind into Elenis and crew. Rhinox, part of Team Jacob, as I'm just calling them Team Jacob, even though they're Void and they're currently in third place at 73 points. It's Jacob who's my MVP so far in this tournament. From the amount of pressure that Jacob alone can do, it is mind-blowing. More shots down on the Payback. Payback takes one bullet and backs on up. Great little POV here of Rhinox. 41 or 47 remain with 13 teams. I think it's 47 remain.
Yeah, we still have
Correct.
yet to actually see a full team wipe as well. Still sitting on those 13 teams. Jacob on your screen now.
Yo, chat, can I get
Jacob and Pod
in the chat, please?
particular have been some of the most hyper aggressive playmakers that we've seen so far over this roughly about 4.5 maps. If you're just tuning in, where I'm at 5 of 6 as J-Star gets a down onto Metal Core off screen. But really, you're sitting at 1 elimination, which is fine for the time being. J-Star another down doing work. Excuse me. Apparently, J-Star is taking everyone on right now. And Nexus will trying to return the favor. And J-Star says, none for you. You or you. Get out of my face.
Team J-Star, an example of one of those squads that I think right now knows they're in the running and is trying to get a little bit more aggressive heading into this game in 5th place with 20 eliminations, which is our 4th most so far in the tournament. Seriotan somehow lived through all of that, was in the middle of 4 teams, was the first one knocked, and now 2 of their teammates are dead, and they're just hiding in a corner, basically doing their best impersonation of me from the tournament a month and a half ago.
Which is an unfortunate circumstance for all the Athena fans at home, because you know how talented Athena can be, right? And so when they get put in pressured situations in 1v4s, 1v3s by themselves, sure, they can play the aggro position, but without little to no backup in just about every encounter we've seen from them, from other, whether it was unlucky circumstances off screen or just the way they formulated their strategy, it hasn't been paying off. And this is the map they have to turn things around. Team number 5 is way down on our leaderboard in 13th place right now. Skylight was a team I said watch out for, and I was just totally wrong, at least thus far. Now, we've seen 35-point games. If they were to drop 2 back-to-back 35-point games, sure, they'd be somewhere near our top of the leaderboard, but they wouldn't be in first. They'd maybe barely be in second, if that at most. So, again, it is a little too late, right? And you had to make the move in map 4.
And I'm sorry to cut you off, but look, here's the difference. Now, Powerbang, this squad switches to the north side of the map. They are on the complete bad side of the zone. They're actually the last team. They're going to be held by our green squad, our purple squad, our pink squad, our red squad, our blue squad, our brown squad are watching the entire north side. Meanwhile, if they landed near the south, there'd be one team near them, Team Tempo. So that decision, while, hey, let's change things up, it might lead to them getting absolutely fried in these 2 vehicles by the 5 teams they're driving right at.
Yeah, this is going to be a very tricky position for them to get out of. We've seen worse positions, though, for endgame, so we'll see if they can manage to pull it off. But now, as we swing over to Fallen Moon's team, Griezmann here, they do have 1 elimination so far, but this is where things start to get scary. We've got about 45 seconds before that second zone begins to close, and this is what you always have to be aware of. These rotations in the next couple circles, as Courage was saying, are going to be the ones that funnel a lot of these players, like what we're seeing right now out of Gosen and Affy on Team Endgame, into one another. And if they are not careful, as Powerbang and the remaining players circle around them, it could end up costing them potentially that guaranteed first place. And this is where you're gonna have to be very mindful. Affy, though, this is exactly what you want. Starts with an immediate down, but the trade, I think, from Puffs almost instantaneous. Gosen, another another down onto one shot. Powerbang flies in with the car, trying to get that close range aggression. Rolex with the shotgun makes it onto Puffs, and just like that, they fly in. And well, it looks like so far it's working out. Raph around the corner using this tree, holding on for dear life. And well, the molly comes out, flushes them out into the open, and it's Rolex with the back-to-back shotgun eliminations. A beautiful play from them to at least take down one of those teams that Courage mentioned was going to be standing in their way.
Yeah, brilliantly played. And remember when I mentioned at the start of this game, what I'd like to see teams do is land on 2 vehicles that have good cover. Well, guess what this team did? They did exactly that. They drive on in with vehicles that they are confident to drive around and use as a scouting tool. Powerbang and his duo stayed in the car and drove all around to call out exactly what rock those 2 players were on, while Rolex and Affy stayed on the ground, challenged gunfights, and because of that, a quick 3 kills. They've now made it into the zone, and look at this duo. Look at these 2 duos rolling out. They are playing this absolutely perfectly.
I am impressed also with their ability to color coordinate. They've grabbed the coupes, they've thrown on the orange skins for these vehicles, and they're going to continue to just be menaces around the map.
Well, they're weak though.
They probably were listening to the broadcast before. It looks like Ghostin was able to grab a knock, at least from distance. They tried to find some cover around the tree. Ghostin gets fully eliminated. Now it's Affy on low health, getting shot from multiple angles. Powerbang is just nowhere to be seen. And Rolex said, we're going to get to the recall tower.
Yes.
Why not? We know what we're doing.
This is the benefit of having 2 vehicles and splitting up. Because of how this map plays and how you can bring your teammates back, you know what? Hey, guys, sorry, it's nothing personal. We're going to leave you behind. There's no way of saving you. I mean, look, what would they do? Try to take on this fight? Is this Team Thunder? Yeah, Team Thunder are on 4 different buildings in perfect positions if they were to have tried to take this fight. It's a sign of just great game knowledge. Back on up. We'll just get the free res on you. It's no big deal.
Affy's at risk of needing one of those as some of those shots come in flushed out by that Molotov as the rest of Team Thunder pushes in toward them. Jets with a frag off screen downs Powerbang, which means there might be a contest on potentially some of those revives as Deado cleans it up. Who knows? Suddenly the team that had such good positioning, it's all falling apart. Affy is about to be taken out. Powerbang is downed as well, and suddenly endgame, what looked so good for them might very well become disastrous. Rolex, the last one alive, fighting for their life with the shotgun, goes out for the shots. Can they make it the triple? Can they connect? They have to reload. They can't get it done. Endgame will fall, and what could have been the heroic play? Rolex, unfortunately, just not enough bullets in the chamber.
Guys, didn't it really seem like they had to go through a lot of teams right there to try to get to the center of the zone?
It's like you mentioned that.
It's like they jumped towards the side that had every other damn team on it but one. Look, they've been doing so well, but you are still in second place. You're right there. Why put yourself on the side of the map that you have no idea of what teams normally play where, how congested it normally is? That's the decision for me. I would not be surprised to see them go back towards the south side of the map again in Game 6.
Well, they're going to have to, and they're going to have to find a number of eliminations and placement points because I believe they fell as team number 10 again. They certainly found an elimination or 2 this time to increase their score, but not by a sizable amount. I got to say, Rolex almost had the best sequence we've seen thus far with that M10 shotgun. It showed how powerful it can be if you connect with your shots. One more well-placed bullet, and I believe could have had the 1v3 win and really clutched up for his team despite any bad rotations. But we'll see what happens next. As on your screen right now, Bessie Boss, incredible performance in the duos section of this tournament, trying to repeat that success today, finding the revive on Star. These are the positions you love to hold, right? Any fight that you can go into and you have a slight advantage, any competitive advantage you can utilize is going to be a massive boon to your success in this tournament, because a 50-50 fight is just not worth it. Period. End of sentence. Unless you're at the bottom of the leaderboard and the team you're fighting is maybe near the top and you're like, let's send it. Otherwise, find those competitive advantages and use them to your advantage to win your gunfights. Let's look at this circle. You can see a couple teams still rotating in. Again, it is Team Coffee, Prod, Tempo, TBE, Max with a fantastic position inside the zone and an opportunity to hold 2 teams rotating in.
And
well, what to notice really quicker, I just want to point this out, right, is that your third place, your fourth place, and your first place teams are all still alive. As we saw Endgame go down, Tempo Sonics being in that fourth place position. It's a very real chance here, Courage, that Endgame aren't even in your top 3 after all these shots come in.
Oh, no, I wouldn't be surprised at all as Jacob takes a challenge on the Merms. Merms does go down, and it's Verify all by themselves, laying behind a rock. That nade does just miss, but sadly for them, Jacob is on the hunt, and Jacob will find his prey as Rhinox with the nade to help on out. They clear the players out on the side of the zone as they do go down now, as we swap perspectives on over towards Star of, I believe this is Team Grass Stains.
Yeah.
Still alive. One player does go down. That's Bessie Boss, but they will get the revive. As they know their opponents that they were fighting were weak as well. There should be no aggression coming on down as the zone begins to close yet again.
This team, I believe, Team Thunder, who we've had a chance to watch just a bit of on main stage. I know we have a lot of Papa PG fans in the chat. They're wanting to see him pop off. And he certainly can and could in this fight. He is one of the last alive on that team. Star's going to make sure that doesn't happen, though.
Woo!
UTV, sure, it gets you around the map quick. Sure, it's great in all terrains, but it doesn't have a lot of cover in. Well,
squad wipe.
Again, another reason you've got to be careful as you drive around to try to grab the reses. That is a full team wipe on Team Thunder. They'll be striking no lightning this match as we're down to the final 5 teams, and you can see exactly who they are. This time, not too many player advantages to work with. A team of 4, which has 2 players down, and then a team of 4 with Team Jacob leading the charge, probably in one of the better positions, depending on where this circle pulls.
Very important things to note. Our third place team, Team Void, still alive with all 4 players, but sadly for them, Team Dream is in the current power position on this map with all 4 players alive as well. Jacob just continues to push right towards everyone he can and fight anyone on his screen with only 11 players remaining, 3 squads left. Who will come out on top? I'm going to call it. I think it's going to be Team Dream.
I would not be surprised, but you got to give it to Grass Stains team. Maybe a little too late to come alive, but they're at 9 eliminations here, and they do have 3 players using these smokes very effectively to move from location to location. Unfortunately, Star does get caught out, get down. We'll see if Bessie Boss can get them back up on their feet, but I agree here. Void and Endgame in such good positions, but Rhinox, you got to be careful. Rhinox gets down, shots coming in, and well, if you're Endgame, you are happy to watch these 2 teams face off against one another. And well, unfortunately for Team Void, you are going to be pushed off of that rock. You're going to be sent out right into the open. And well, this could be a crazy finish where all of these teams have potentially no cover to work with.
I think they're going to need to lay down on the top of this rock for the least bit of cover. Both teams are going to focus and prioritize this squad on the edge of the zone, which is Bessie Boss. Yes, you see the nades come on in. And now it is your team in first place, Team Dream, going up against Team Void. Team Void currently with 15 kills in this 4 versus 4. Zone advantage now in favor of Team Void. Dream trying to go through with the car, create a distraction to give his teammates a chance to push on forward. That's Jacob with the elimination. Her goes down as well. 17 eliminations right now for Team Void. By far the best performance so far of the tournament. Oh no, Whiffs does go down. Bella Fox with the quick little trade. It all comes down to this. A 1 versus 3. Team Void get the job done with 19 eliminations.
Unbelievable performance from Team Void. I loved the position they had on the rock. I knew that was a fantastic spot to hold if you could maintain that position and not lose a player in the process. They almost lost Rhinox, but once they grabbed the res and then Dream had the full send with the vehicle, it was almost game, set, match unless they made another mistake. They stayed patient, they took the long range gunfights, and they won the game. 15 placement points, and then 38 points from eliminations only. I mean, I'm not a mathematician, but I believe that's a 53-point game. Are you kidding me, Team Void?
Courage, you said it, and I will say it again. Jacob is the MVP of this final. What incredible Incredible gameplay. And the craziest part to me, though, just that you remember all the way back on Solos Day when Hot Jukes asked me how many kills do you think they're going to need to get? And I was like, oh, double digits. Well, Jacob's the only one we've seen so far in the tournament actually break double digits as a single player. Incredible.
Hey, we talked about it.
Oh, baby.
Oh, Jukes with the cowboy hat.
Kick around out here, yo. 12 kills, 12 eliminations from Jacob alone.
Oh, my goodness.
19. Absolutely insane. I cannot believe a performance like that. Hey, Courage, you think they passed up Endgame?
Yeah, they've passed up everybody, and if I'm Team Endgame, I'm just hoping I'm still in the top 3 at this point, as they've had 2 rough games in a row. Again, I'm still questioning the decision to go to the north side of the map, but if there's one thing that has remained true, Team Void have been consistent throughout. They had a rough game 1. They had a rocky start. They were in 11th place, but now in first place with 126 points. Void make a statement, but more importantly, heading into game number 6, the gap from first to second is only 8 points. Either of these teams can easily still be crowned champion.
I don't even think they needed consistency after a game like that. Like, honestly, insane. But 2 chicken dinners so far. That last game was just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they just kind of showed it, right? That it's still possible for another squad to, snipe away that first place. I mean, Dream's there. I mean, Endgame, if they happen to pull out a game like Void. But, man, I mean, a lot has to happen here if they're looking to pass it up. Because this team's on fire, Coach. On fire.
They're more than on fire. I mean, they are just burnt to a crisp already. And the question is, can they carry that consistency into the next map, right? Like, if they can drop a decent map number 6, they should be walking away with the lion's share of the $50,000, $20,000 going to those 2 community members. Now, something to remember also, Courage, is back from the 4th anniversary event. Guess who was the MVP of that event? And guess who won that event? Oh, it was Jacob leading his team and leading the charge all the way to the finish line. So he's back to do it again, this time to prop up the community members to win 20 grand.
Woo! I love to see it. Now, before we get anything started here, before we keep going, we got some amazing words of encouragement for you guys. So why don't we go ahead and roll it?
This is it. This is what we've been waiting for. The final game
Hey,
of
it's
PUBG
me!
Mobile's 2022.
It's me
Live It
twice!
Community Cup.
There's 2 of me!
You guys have been grinding day in and day out, preparing for this moment. Multiple days in the tournament, trying to qualify and get to these final 6 games. And now we are on the eve of game number 6. At the end of this, we will crown our 2022 champion, and I cannot wait to see how it all plays on out. What I can tell you is this: the action has been phenomenal so far this week. So look, give yourself a pat on the back. But I'm sure the nerves are high. So look, take a deep breath and focus. This is everything you've practiced for. You know what you need to do. Don't change it on up because it's the final game now. If you're hopping on in, still prioritize the zone. Make sure to keep control of all your different angles you can be approached from and shot from. The biggest thing for late games in these battle royales is knowing what areas are open to, what areas you have to watch, and also pay attention to where the dead side of the zone is. You like this, chat? Your easier set of rotations. And that was me yesterday. Who looks better, me yesterday or me today? What you need. Who looks better? Focus on up. The time has come. I look better today. Final game of PUBG Mobile's 2022 Live It Community Cup starts right after this quick break.
And that's the break.
That was the break. Oh my God.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it right there. Hey, there's no time for no break. This is the community cup. Now I gotta ask you this, Courage. You do anything interesting on that break there?
No. I actually was about to run up and go to the bathroom because I've been chugging water throughout this broadcast, but they quite literally made it a quick break. So, yeah, I couldn't.
You got something on your lips there.
Wait, what I really want to know, Courage, when you were recording that, when you were recording that, did you see into the future and say that specifically for Powerbang?
No, but let's just say I may or may not have paid off half our competitors here today to only go after him and make this tournament a living hell for him. No, I'm kidding. No, it's honestly it was a pleasure to be able to record that, and I just want to give a quick shout out as we're heading into game number 6 to be so grateful to the PUBG Mobile community for welcoming me with open arms. So many kind words. Shout out to the production team. Shout out to all our competitors and my wonderful co-casters. Katie, Jukes, and Gaji. You guys are so awesome. Thank you.
I hate everything.
Good old Goji Berry, dude. You're doing a great job, bro.
I appreciate everyone besides Courage, but I'm happy to be here. So.
That's great.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, one match left. Katie, you have some of your favorite squads here at the top of the list. What do they need to do here in this last one?
I mean, for the teams that are already up top, I think you stick with exactly what you're doing, especially when it comes to Dream Gaming, interestingly enough, right? So at one point before they took the lead, they were exactly 8 points behind first place. They take the lead, they get usurped by Void, who have a dominating, incredible, best game performance that we saw in map 5. Well, they're in second place again, down by 8 points. So if I have to say anything, I think if they've done it once, they can do it twice. Dream Gaming gonna come in first.
Ooh. All right, now Courage. Big question for you, Papa. Void popped off in the last one. Endgame, they have a big gap now. And I know that they want first place. So we saw them beat them early when it came to the earlier today. Are we going to see Endgame hop drop Void? That's my question. It's the last game. Let's go. Take it away.
Ooh, are they going to hot drop Void? Look, I don't think so, but do I have a magic eyeglass that lets me see into the future? Because Powerbang and crew are going right back to Logistics Center, because guess what? Their plan to shake things up, which they didn't need to do, did not work out for them. And if there is a moment that changed this tournament for me, it is their decision to drop on the north side of the map in that game number 5. And we have to start the game off by watching Jacob, who for me is the far and away MVP. And with that being said, I'm literally going to go to the bathroom. I'm sorry, I have to go pee some.
Go for it.
I think what Courage said there is important, right? I think Powerbang's team Endgame, they second guessed themselves. And that was kind of the dagger for them. They didn't believe in what had been so effective for them in the first couple maps, Goj, and now they're paying the price for it. I'm sorry, Goji. And so how do they recover? It's a thing now. I'm sorry. If Courage makes it a thing, it's a thing, and you're just going to have to accept that.
Courage is gone. It's Goj. Plain and simple. Get it right. Write it down. Put it in your notebook. Put it on a bookmark. I don't care. All I know is this last map is going to be intense. And I think Jacob Gaming, Void, I didn't get a chance to do prediction. I think Void's going to take it home. Again, an 8-point lead is not an insane amount, but all they have to do is stay alive. Katie, you said something right at the very beginning of our duos broadcast on Friday. It was incredibly profound. On Friday, Katie said, the key to success here in PUBG Mobile is shoot stuff, don't die. That is true of just about any game, but it is profound today as well, because you have to stay alive. We saw in-game do that, right? They shot a few things, but they stayed alive at the highest level in the first couple maps. They had a number of second place finishes. Those placement points are crucial to your success today. So yes, find some shots, shoot some things early game, but find your way to the end game. That is going to be the key in this last map.
And Goj, I don't know if you mentioned this, as we'll get our POV feed here fixed in a moment. Void is leading in eliminations at 40. They also have 2 chicken dinners now. So in our 2 big tiebreakers, they are in the lead in both of them. So not only are they lead in points, but they also are winning in the tiebreakers at the moment. So if you're Void, you're feeling confident. But now, remember the nerves I mentioned to start? There's now the opposite side. The nerves for being in first place and needing to clutch on up. Yes, they just had a pop-off performance. Thankfully, your best player in Jacob, as you mentioned, was the MVP of the last tournament. Really not new to dominating in these games. So you've got to think they can still keep themselves composed. But Katie and Goj, they feel the pressure now, 1 map away from taking home this title and $20,000.
So I gotta wonder then, because you brought this up, and then it's something I had been thinking about, Courage, but you took the words right out of my mouth, is some of these community members might be a little nervous in the first few games. Yep. And if you're on Void's team, if you're Rhinox, if you're Wisp, who got 42nd in the solos, so not necessarily dominating performances early on, and you are right at the cusp of $10,000 each, maybe you felt good in games 3 through 5, but are you nervous all over again in map 6?
I mean, when we mentioned potential nerves going into game number 1, we have to remember with Void, their worst game was game number 1. Was that nerves? Was that exactly what we've mentioned? Now in game 6, could the reverse be happening? Could this be, again, they're nervous about trying to not choke, and then the reverse happens that makes them choke? I don't know. My mind's spinning on all these different things, but let's get back on into the action. Well done, production, for the quick little fix. All sorts of nades being thrown by Max and Coffee just to back on up this team of Dab, Synthetic, and Lely.
Yeah, I was looking back at some of our Discord feeds as well, and I was looking back into Void's feed, and it does look like they had quite a bit of communication before the start of this event. They, I believe, also had a chance to practice a bit together, so I'm sure some of that chemistry will come into play today. It has already, but it could have been that first map of like continuing to try to feel out how each other are playing, and then maybe at the end of map 1, they just said, all right, Jacob, you're gonna IGL, like we need a clear and present voice telling us exactly where we need to go. You can also play the aggressor who has the most information, and then we go from there. And maybe those are the things that clean them up. Maybe we'll get an interview later should they win this, and we'll get a bit more behind the peak from that team. But regardless, Rhinox is still playing fairly aggressive, with the team down below wants to make sure they don't lose their life in the process. Might decide to back up here should things, I was gonna say things would go certainly awry if you're gonna push that exact same fight you had in map number 5 that you elected to back out of.
Well, it does look like as we cut back, there's already been a team eliminated, and that is the Amigos was that first team to be eliminated here in map 6. And well, that'll be Dream with a down onto Star, part of Dream Gaming. And yeah, a few of these top contender teams really back and forth. But Goach, something that surprised me actually was I didn't think going into map 6, based on what we saw out of Endgame in maps 4 and 5, I'm actually surprised that they're still in 3rd.
No, I am too. I think there were a lot of teams that have closed the gap, certainly, and there could be a massive fight for 3rd as well. I mean, we've been talking about 1st and 2nd all day today. And as we look at the map, look who's up in the top right-hand corner of your screen. That's Iceborg, the top right new POI with the new Livik update. But that's also Dream Gaming, I believe, at the very top right-hand corner of your map. And they seemingly are contested by, I believe, part of Tempo Sonics. You can see part of their teams inside of the zone down to the south portion, and then the other half is up at the top right, contesting Dream. So this could have been a grief situation.
As Bezzy Boss, one of our better skirmishers in this tournament so far, they all get landed on as they come back in from getting respawned. Shots coming on in, one goes down, the trade comes in as well. Oh no, and you see Dream now sprinting. Multiple players get brought back in from the respawn point inside the church. And they land right on top of 2 members of Dream. It's now up to Dream to win this fight. And remember, Dream is our 2nd place team. If they lose this, that is the end of their tournament hopes.
And this is even a worse situation than I thought it was. Whether my saturation is wrong or maybe I'm partially colorblind, regardless, this is Grass States that is fighting Team Dream. This is a team that certainly would like to grab this grief and then move on with their merry day, right? This is an opportunity. Of course, if you're Jacob and you're watching the down in the elimination feed, that one's going to feel good. And if they can secure a couple more, that also denotes to Jacob, yo, this is an opportunity for around this map. And so far, so bad for Team Dream, because Dream is eliminated. It's all up to her gaming, and it's a 1v3 situation with their 4th just down. I don't know how she wins this.
1v3 on the low ground. Her now being pushed. Finds a knockdown to 1, but down they go. Our 2nd place team, Dream Gaming, has officially been eliminated in our final game. And now if you're Team Void, you are licking your lips. Endgame, who was the 3rd place team, is 44 points behind you. The tournament is all but theirs unless Team Endgame can go absolutely crazy in these next 15 minutes.
Did I caster curse stream gaming? Because I was so confident.
Oh,
and
gosh.
I said they were going to take it. And if I had bad juju for dream gaming, I'm so sorry.
Katie, look, I can't even tell you how many broadcasts together at this point, and I know that you cast a curse just about every single time, so I'm not that surprised to see Dream
I think you're just
down.
mad because your new name is Goji and you're picking
Okay,
on me.
yeah, all right, here we go. Well,
Oh, no, not the berry talk again.
I'm done with it. Look, Verify is on the edge of the zone. They saw this fight go down from distance in Iceberg, right? And this is an opportunity to potentially clean up this team. You have visual, you have the gunny, might as well take advantage of it. That's 2 tap down. Bessie Boss is in a tough situation with her teammates, have already pushed forward, and it looks like J-Star and company have a great spot here on the edge of zone to potentially grab 1 to 2 eliminations, if not more. We were talking about it before. If you can pick off a couple, great. There's another team behind them. They're saying, yeah, I just need 2 bullets every single time. Verify is not missing, showcasing how deadly he was in the solos portion and the duos portion of this event, bringing that talent into game number 6.
What's even more impressive is that the first kill was from the first elimination was from J-Star for that knock, and then Verify with that same long-range scope on the same weapon says, hey, if you can do it, I can do it as well. But oh gosh, there's the rest of Solji's team. Verify wanted to move on forward and look for a potential full, but thankfully brilliant cover that should give them the chance to get the res on Solji. So really well done by Seriotan to keep that pressure and force his opponents from giving them the space they need to get the res on their teammate.
You know what was really weird, Coach, that I've just noticed now? Through all the days of the 2022 Live It Community Cup, this day and every drop so far, I feel like we've hardly seen Midstein. As hot of a drop as it is, as such a big POI it is on the map, I just feel like whether it's the lines or anything else, people have been saying, no, not right now to Midstein. It's been so odd. We saw it there just for a moment, but really it's been an absentee in these maps.
Oh,
yeah.
I was going to say that's actually really common to have happen across many games. You have to be insanely confident to land at the hottest drop on the map and say, this is going to be our claim. In many games, actually, players will call their position and literally tweet it to try to get control of that area to drop on in. So if you think about it, while it's crazy, it's also everyone probably has a mindset of, hey, we're not going Midstein. Everyone lands there. And then it gets to a point where there's 13 squads. If 13 squads all have that same mindset, which is not that rare, then guess what? No one winds up landing there, or maybe only one squad does.
Right. There's been a couple of times that we've seen teams rotate into it. You can see it on your screen right now. This is the brand new Midstein, and the way it's laid out is beautiful. All the buildings are unique, different, have different windows, tons of angles. And I've got to say, too, on top of what Courage was saying, it looks like Seriotan as well as Soloji and their company is able to find a few eliminations in this fight. It's a tough fight to take. And as we swap perspectives, you see Prod go down as well. So Team Coffee down a member. But I was going to mention in Midstein, too, when you're playing quads fights, even just 2 teams dropping Midstein is still 8 players, and there are so many angles you can get shot from. Those are the type of fights that we'll see last for 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes, and it's just a quagmire that bogs down your entire game. It just might not be worth it in the end game.
This is such a tough position to be in if you're J-Star's team. There's so many angles that are locked down for you, and unless, like you just did, you can get a cheeky little down, maybe give yourself some bandwidth to recuperate. Merms was downed earlier, and they did a good job of getting her back up onto her feet, but that's exactly it. You get the down, you push immediately into the engagement, turn it into a 4v2, convert those eliminations as well, and suddenly the remaining players in Midstein have to ask themselves the question, Courage, do we try and bring this back, or do we try and just push away and look to get our teammates back on their feet?
Yeah, look, I don't play enough PUBG Mobile to know exactly the best call there. To me, I find it interesting that they're so split from each other. It seems like they have kind of counter calls. Like, yes, I see Seriotan with this sniper, and I think in my head, they're saying, hey, the zone's about to push them. We don't need to force this play. But then Solji was so far pushed up and getting knocked, thought maybe I can find a kill or two. It just seems like they were playing at 2 different paces, and it comes back to bite them. That was 4 players playing with one cohesive mindset versus 2 players who wanted to get aggressive and 2 players who wanted to stay back. But then also, Seriotan, as you're seeing right here, was keeping in that position to make sure no third party showed up. So you can make an argument for both sides. Either way, it looks like the Team J-Star had the right idea. Push 4 versus 2. It works in your way most of the damn time.
Right, and I think the other thing with Seriotan, he had a decent Overwatch position, right? Athena had the DP with the longer range scope, and we know how hard it can hit from distance, just couldn't quite find the right angles. Although they had a fantastic heady to work with, it wasn't enough to help their teammates out from that range, and so they'll certainly be shaking their heads looking on that one back on the VOD. But regardless, if they can get to a recall tower that can bring their teammates back, at least for just but a moment, that recall tower will close down any moment now if it hasn't already. So you got to be careful to make sure you use your revives wisely, because we're down to the final 10 teams. We're in the 4th circle. It will start closing in but a moment. And now J-Star is peppering on Seriotan from distance. And again, look back. Remember, these are the moments that you look back on and say, hey, this is where the blue zone starts taking lives. You've got to get out, and you've got to get out now. As it starts moving right at this second, it's going to start chunking away at your health as we close into the 5th circle. Get to the zone and get there quickly.
Wow. No, go ahead.
Are you curious to know? I feel like we haven't seen Void's team in a while. I'm curious to know, as our current front runner, how they're doing. I know they're still alive on the map, but sometimes all you got to do is spray and pray. Messy boss will go down, but nice shots as Bite and the full team is eliminated. Maybe just a little too out in the open, but this is exactly the team I was curious about. Are guarding this POI pretty effectively, and for good reason. A lot of these teams forced into a tough situation, but interestingly enough, take a look at the team that is alive and well, went back to their roots, went back to their favorite drop. Powerbang's team, all 4 up.
And this right now looks like a victory lap for this Team Void. They're still alive. 7 squads left. All 4 players up. They've got some meds. And look, if you're Jacob, you just picked up 3 med kits. You're upgrading the backpack. You're getting some more pain meds and energy drinks. You're just setting up for the end game now. Here's a look at the zone. They're already in the new zone. Probably best position for the moment, if I had to guess, would go towards Team Powerbang. They also have the most opportunity to pick up a lot of eliminations near that north side of the zone. And with the 2 south squads skirmishing, I think we're about to see a lot of Powerbang and crew and a lot of Team Void in the kill feed, mopping up those squads on the north side who have to run on in.
This is a crucial moment for in-game as well, because like we've mentioned, sure, Jacob's team with Dream falling out early, I believe they only scored somewhere around 5 total points, by the way. The beginning of the onslaught, the beginning of the end of the tournament, potentially the end of a few of these teams from distance. A number of eliminations coming in for in-game squad. And as a reminder, there's still $10,000 up for grabs for 2nd place, and still $5,000 up for grab for third place. And there are so many teams that could be in contention for that. Sure, that 20K grand prize is maybe done and dusted, nearly unattainable at this point, if not completely unattainable, but still a ton of money to go around. So do not let off the gas yet. You've got to find your eliminations, and you've got to find your way into the top 3 if you can.
Goodness. And this positioning from Team Jacob is really, really good. Jacob does get caught out just a little bit, was trying to check that side of the hill, backs on up, verify, can't connect with the shot. Some beautiful movement right there. But if you look at your map, Team Jacob, Team Void has this whole sight line. Only 3 kills this game, but guess what? Every squad that goes away, that's 2 more placement points, all the way up to 15. A look at your map, you see a pretty good spread. 2 full squads of 4 remaining. That's 3 full squads of 4 remaining. That's Team Little Homies, Team Void, and on the edge of the map, it's Team J-Star. As pressure becomes on through the zone, about to begin to close.
Well, and really for Team Void, if you didn't already by numbers alone have it locked up going into map 6, especially with the early demise of Dream Gaming, you could sit here with 0 eliminations and get placement points, and you already know that it's mathematically impossible. But that being said, hey, I want to get into some of this action, but Ruby takes out Merms. Verify, frags going back and forth. Powerbang falls is taken out. Our shop, another on to max trades, and just like that, you blink, we went from 6 teams down to just 2 and 8 players. A nice little 4v4.
I will say, by the way, Courage, I think Rolex was hanging out in the zone for a little while, ended up falling to the play zone. There's the death coming through, right? But I believe that he might have secured 3rd place, which is still a sizable amount of placement points, right? Like, you still achieve your 10 points that you get for just staying alive, and they are in contention for that $10,000 prize. They're in contention for that $5,000 prize if they don't take 2nd. So you've got to look at where you think could happen going forward. Go ahead.
Coach. You know, while I love that squad, it doesn't matter because right now it is a victory lap for Team Void. They're on the edge of the zone. The first shots come on through. The 4 versus 4. Jacob trades one out, now down to a 3v3. Metalcore gets the heal off on the edge of zone. Jacob on a brilliant angle right here continues to put the shots down range. There's just 2 players remaining. That does it. Ladies and gentlemen, your PUBG Mobile 2022 Livic Community Cup champions, Team Void.
Unbelievable finish from Team Void. They had 3 eliminations, I believe, going into that last fight. They walk out with 9 eliminations. That's 18 total points from the elims plus 15. You're still in contention for one of the best games of the day, just subpar of, well, your other game, right? They had a 53-point game earlier. That was a 33-point game in that match. And on the leaderboard, Courage, there is no one even close. The question is, who achieved the 2nd place with Dream falling earlier? Who achieved the 3rd place with some of those squads right in contention for it? Only a few points separate them. Only time will tell.
I mean, I think they won by so much that if you just took their extra amount of points, they might have placed top 5 with how much they won by. I mean, that was
domination.
A stomp. That was a stomp, Katie.
And that's the only way you could. And the fact that they just had to flex on everyone, Hot Jukes, and say, you know what? Not only do we know we've already won, we're just going to take this map and get our 3rd chicken dinner while we're at it.
Man, just like Courage and I at an all-you-can-eat buffet, dude. This thing is all over, dude. I'll tell you, it is how you do it. Jacob got it done right there. I mean, 12 elims in 1 game. I mean, okay, Courage, I know that this was the guy that you had been looking at this whole time. I mean, what else can you say? What else can you say?
I mean, look, I didn't necessarily shout them out to start the tournament, but as I was watching the kill feed and how things played out in games 2 and then 3, I saw a lot of Jacob, and what I'm most impressed by with Team Void is they were in 11th place after game number 1. They got dropped in one of the worst positions after game 1, and then guess what? In 5 remaining games, 3 of them wins. The other 2 were damn close as well. What an impressive turnaround from what was a shaky start and a perfect point to say, hey, guess what? We mentioned 1 game can go awry, but if the rest are pop off and you do really well, that can be what it takes to win. They had 1 really bad game, but 5 damn good games, and they won by so much that we didn't even have to go to the scorecard. We just knew they won it. And yeah, 36 points ahead of 2nd.
Wow.
Void, take it home.
Take it to the bank. 159 total points. I mean, what a finish. Dream Gaming, consistent the whole entire day, taking away that $10,000 prize. I mean, 5K straight to the bank. You cannot beat it. Here we go. Of course, gotta say it one more time. Void are your 2022 Livic Community Cup champions. And then, of course, you know, Powerbang and Rolex and Squad, you know, end game. Get that 3rd place 5K. I mean, hey, what more could you ask for? Big thank you, of course, to PUBG Mobile for just putting this all on. And remember, this is the Community Cup. It's all about the community here. So, since I am the host, we are going to be doing a wonderful giveaway for you guys here. Some nice UC. And I'm going to give you guys the strategy of how to do it. The best strategy. So listen carefully. You want that UC? This is how you do it. You're going to go to PUBGmobile.com/redeem. Put all your information already. Get that ID. Get it loaded. You should already have it ready. Okay? Get that done. Come back to the stream. And you're going to click that little wheel right there. hit 2x on the play speed, so that way you become the most live, okay? And then enter it in fast. Whoever gets it, okay? So I'm gonna give them a total of 5 seconds to get that ready, okay? Courage, 10,000 UC for everybody. That's pretty good, right? What do you think about that strat?
I mean, hey, community is everything in games. And shout out PUBG Mobile for doing this. And what I'm going to tell you is right now, if you're watching this going, why wasn't I competing? Why wasn't I, a part of this? Guess what? I'm sure this isn't the last one they're going to do. So make sure to stay tuned to PUBG Mobile everywhere. This is not only a great way to get involved in the community, make new friends, have your chance to win some money alongside, but I'm sure some of these people who competed today want to make a name for themselves in PUBG Mobile esports and PUBG Mobile competition. And maybe with pro teams watching this, with pro players watching this, you never know who could catch their big break in a pop-off tournament today. Impressive stuff from all of our community players in this one.
I know the players at Team Void have already updated their Twitter bios. I mean, hey, what more could you ask for right there? They got the money. They're putting the items on layaway. Guys, let's not do it. Let's go ahead and bring it up. The UC. Time is up. Bring it up. Here we go.
Oh.
Woo! 10,000 UC codes. That's over 100 USD right there. Type it in fast. Get it done. And collect the check.
I got all 3.
Wow. I was gonna say,
how dare you?
If I followed Hot Juke's strats, do I still win, right? Like, that's exactly what I was thinking the whole time. Something else worth mentioning, by the way, not just this 10,000 UC per each of these codes. Even if you didn't make it to the finale, all 104 participants that made to day 3 are going to be receiving 2,000 UC straight into their accounts. You don't even have to do anything. You made it to day 3. Maybe you didn't make it to the finale. Maybe you did. You're walking away with 2,000 UC to use on all of those cool skins. So make sure you check out your account whenever those pop in. I'm sure you'll be excited about that one.
I love that. And I think that's something, Jukes, I've loved the most about this event is that even if you went out in day 3, you get to day 4, maybe you're not able to get into the top 3, you're walking away with money or UC no matter what. And that's such a good feeling for all the members of the community who, threw it out into the ring. Maybe they were nervous, maybe not. Maybe you got that far. You know what? PUBG Mobile said, we're rewarding you no matter what. So it's pretty cool.
That's what I'm talking about. And that's how you do it. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. Courage, any final thoughts? I'll give you 4 words.
4 words. This was really fun.
We'll take it to the bank, baby. Take it to the bank. Thank y'all so much for joining me. I had such a wonderful time. We will catch you on the next event. Make sure you guys go and follow all of their socials. Courage. Go follow Goj. Go follow Katie. And we'll hope to see you guys really soon. Once again, I gotta say it. Make sure you're following everything. Follow us. Follow the PUBG Mobile official account. Subscribe to the YouTube. All of the stuff that all us YouTubers tell you to do. And of course, remember, for all you guys that are watching this for the first time, download PUBG Mobile now. Get involved, and hopefully you could win some big money like this. 2 people from the community taking 10 grand a piece. What more could you ask for? Once again, I am Hot Jukes. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one. See ya.
Yeet. Dude, that was awesome.
That's pretty good, right?
Well, Bomb was like, sheesh.
Hey, that was a lot of fun. My stream's still live, so they can still hear you. But I'm gonna say, guys, that was a blast. You were all awesome to
thank you.
cast with and be part of. You guys are the best, and hopefully we'll do this again soon. So I'm gonna dip out before they come in here and say stuff, so my stream doesn't hear it.
Yeah, do your thing, man. It was a blast.
All right,
thank you.
See you guys. All right, chat. That was an absolute blast. Who enjoyed that? Who enjoyed that today? I had an absolute a great time, and shout out PUBG Mobile for having me. Again, guys, that was sponsored by PUBG. They had me commentate, and look, I know it was a different game and something you're not maybe used to, but for me, it was really important to show love to the mobile gaming community. Mobile gaming is the biggest form of gaming in the world, and while it might not be the thing that most of my viewers watch, or most of my viewers from North America have heard of, for any of my viewers who might be huge PUBG Mobile fans, who might be located in some of the countries where PUBG Mobile is massive and is the main game that everyone plays, I wanted to be part of this for you guys and show you guys love as well. To have the opportunity to cast after 2.5 years, I felt like I was a little bit rusty in certain areas. But yeah, man, it felt great to be back. And shout out all you guys in the chat. If you guys saw, I kept peeking over. I couldn't say anything, but I saw your guys' messages. I'm really, really grateful. So hopefully more opportunities to do this in the future. Shout out all you guys who supported. You guys who watch this stream and tune on in are what make this possible for me. And I'm really, really grateful. So with that being said, this was a long day. I recorded some stuff off stream earlier today. We have the reaction video that went on up. I went to a quick doctor's visit. I did a 20-minute treadmill session. I had another business call I hopped on, and then we casted this wonderful tournament. So yeah, guys, with that being said, that is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're going to be live the rest of this week into a bit of the weekend with all sorts of different games. So thank you guys all for hanging out. I love you guys, seriously, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting what is my dream to be able to be doing this. And yeah, with that said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I've said with that said 34 times. So with that said, we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.